Oh, we're live, aren't we? I guess we should do a radio show.
You want to?
I don't not want to.
That's better.
I worked on it. You told me to.
You are getting better at that.
Hello, upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. What's happening, y'all? Great to be back with you. Don't do that, Bruce.
It worked.
Relax, Bruce.
It worked.
Lon's over there's raising fists, threatening the board. About to Hulk smash the furthest button to the right for not bowing to his will.
I felt the fear of the dirty potentiometer, and it said, dude, I don't want none. All right. And now I can hear. So there we go.
Potentiometer. Don't know that one. Lonzo's full of words I don't know today.
It's a knob, man. It's just.
Yeah, but what's it do?
Not its job now. I will tell you that.
Potentiometer?
Potentiometer.
Potentiometer is a 3-terminal resistor with a sliding or rotating contact that forms as an adjustable voltage divider. It's a knob.
It's a knob.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a knob.
Yes. One of the few things that I retained from recording school.
Learn something new every day, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? We're just here to make your life better, and that's what we're going to do for the next 2 hours, 55 minutes and 30 seconds starting right now. I am Rob. He is Lonzo, the great one. Great to be with you once again on a Thursday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a very, very, very busy one today, folks. We've got for you coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We will be joined by Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. We'll talk to Rashad. You know, we've thrown a couple of theories out about the Panthers the last couple of days. We'll get Rashad's thoughts on them coming up. Then at 1:20, Mark Shelley, the voice of your upstate hockey team, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, going to join us right here on the show. The Rabs went bananas, BANANAS last night. Dropped 4 in the first period en route to a victory. We're going to talk about that game and a couple of really big ones coming up this weekend that we're going to talk about as well right there at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. So we're joined by Mark Shelley at 1:20, and then an hour after that at 2:20. What's today, Lonzo?
It's time for Fight Club.
Fight Club, your home for all things combat sports, and we'll do some MMA and potentially some boxing in there along with our weekly wrestling talk coming up at 2:20. So, a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of stuff to talk about. If you want to be a part of the program, do it. 844-GSP-ESPN. The text line's open at 71307. The preferred home services text line, again, 71307. Start your text with ESPN, and we will read them on the air. Before we get to any of that, though, Lonzo, we have got to start the show with this.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog. Whoever you spend your lunch break with, this will be the scuttlebutt. These will be the items you're discussing around the lunch table today, ladies and gentlemen. And we start with item number 1. The thing I'm most excited about tonight, this evening, Team USA Soccer back in action. They take on El Salvador in a World Cup qualifying matchup. This one's going to be in Columbus, Ohio. The first of a pivotal 3-match window. Currently, the Americans sit in second within the World Cup qualifying octagonal. They are a point behind Canada, but only 1 point ahead of 2 other teams. Mexico and Panama sit at 3 and 4 with 14 points apop. It's a long drop back to Costa Rica with 9, Jamaica with 7, El Salvador with 6, Honduras with 1. Fortunately, 2 of the next 3 for the Americans take place against the bottom 2 teams in the octagonal. Unfortunately, the one stuck in the middle of those takes place at the team that is atop the octagonal. That is Canada on Saturday evening. Going to be cold, going to be blustery, potentially on and off snowy in Ohio tonight. So we'll see how that impacts the American speed advantage. But this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't say this very often. This is a must win. It's not an option. You have, H-A-V-E, have to win this game if you're the Americans. You need to walk out of this octagonal. You need to walk out with no fewer than 6 points. 6 is the baseline expectation here. I'd like to go with 9. If we walk with 7, I'd be okay with it. But you got to get out of here with at least 6 if you want any chance to be. Remember, the top 3 teams in this octagonal, which would right now be Canada, U.S., and Mexico, as Mexico has a +2 advantage on Panama in goal differential. The top 3 teams will automatically qualify for the World Cup. The team that ends in 4th place will have to do a 1-game playoff against the 4th place team from the Oceania Conference, which includes New Zealand and would likely, as of today, be the Kiwis. Not a game you want to play, especially considering that playoff would be in Qatar. You would have to fly to the other side of the planet to play a do-or-die situation. Win and you're in, lose and you go home. And with the disappointments that have been going on lately for the Americans, you'd like to just go ahead and get in. You'd like to just go ahead and get in. So tonight is a big one. It is a huge match because it is one of the mandatory wins for the Americans coming through this. El Salvador has just 1 win in the last 8 matches. They sit 7th out of 8. The team isn't mathematically eliminated, but they are far enough back where a draw does not help them. They need to be getting 3s, and they are going to throw everything they've got at the Americans tonight. You are going to get the best effort El Salvador has, because not only do they need 3s, they need to be dishing out zeros to the teams that are ahead of them so that they have any chance of climbing from 7 up to 4th and at least getting into the playoff spot. That being said, the best El Salvador has should not be able to beat the starting 11 that the Americans are going to throw out there tonight. Matt Turner allowed 3 goals while starting the first 5 matches of qualifying. The New England Revolution goalkeeper dropped in favor of Zach Steffen for the last 3 games against Costa Rica, Mexico, and Jamaica. But this time around, Steffen is with his club, Manchester City, getting treatment for back stiffness. So Matt Turner goes back into the goal. In the defensive back spot, John Brooks will be leading the charge. Anthony Robinson joining him. And DeAndre Yedlin, who just left his contract with Galatasaray on Thursday, is expected to arrive in Columbus to either last night or today. If he is unavailable, Reggie Cannon will likely be the next man up. In the midfield, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and Yunus Musa are expected to be the 3 young guys, a lot of potential there, and they are going to be asked to get the ball forward to Ricardo Pepi, Timothy Weah, or Brandon Aronson, and Christian Pulisic across the top, should they all be available. We'll break that game down more in depth later on in the show. That being said, that game is this evening in Ohio. Kickoff set for 6:30 Eastern Standard Time at lower.com field in Columbus. The Americans go into this as a -625 moneyline favorite. You got to bet 625 to win a hundo on the Americans this evening. That's big time. That's big time. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown this morning. He has called it a career. Big Ben Roethlisberger is retiring from the National Football League. 18 seasons, and he says, I retire a truly grateful man. He said, quote, the journey has been exhilarating, fueled by a spirit of competition, yet the time has come to clean up my locker, hang up my cleats, and continue to be all I can be to my wife and children. I retire from football, a truly grateful man. The 39-year-old is likely a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowl wins, Rookie of the Year honors, in the 5th most passing yards in NFL history, eligible for the Hall in 2027. He said, I've been here a long time, and it's been a lot of fun, end quote. Big Ben drafted by the franchise, the 11th overall back in 2004, took over the starting job from an injured Tommy Maddox against the Ravens in week 2 of his rookie year, led the Steelers to a 15-1 regular season record before losing to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, won his first Super Bowl a year later against the Seahawks, won another 3 years later defeating the Cardinals on a game-winning touchdown throw to Santonio Holmes with 35 seconds left, finished his career with a franchise record 165 regular season victories, 5th most in NFL history. Also earned a .67 regular season winning percentage as a starting quarterback, the 2nd highest in franchise history, the 6th highest in the NFL. Of course, Roethlisberger, well known for some off-the-field drama that followed him around a little bit. But if you are talking about the player himself, Ben Roethlisberger, as a player, had a monumental impact on the game. 18 years, and he is done. We kind of assumed that after that playoff loss. Didn't end the way he wanted to, but 18 years, how much can you ask for, you know? Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown, we have got, as of an hour ago, 2 new head coaches in the National Football League. The Chicago Bears have reportedly found their replacement for the fired Matt Nagy. According to Adam Schefter, they have hired Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator from the Indianapolis Colts, as their new head coach. The 51-year-old is a football lifer, but has never been a head coach at any level until now. Started his career at the college level, working as an assistant in Toledo and Mizzou for 17 years before he came to the NFL. Hired by the Browns to be linebackers coach in 2009. After 2 seasons, moved on to the Cowboys, was there for 7 years as linebackers coach. Joined Josh McDaniels' coaching staff on the Colts, which turned into Frank Reich's coaching staff after McDaniels reneged on the agreement and stayed with the Patriots. Over Eberflus's 4 seasons with the Colts, his defense finished with the 2nd most takeaways in the league and the 3rd fewest yards per carry. In 3 of the 4 years, the Colts finished in the top 10 of points allowed. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, newly hired GM Ryan Poles conducted the 2nd interview. He interviewed former Detroit Lions head coach Jim Caldwell on Tuesday and Dan Quinn, as well as Matt Eberflus on his 2nd day, and decided that Eberflus was the way to go. Also joining them in the now we have a head coach department, the Denver Broncos have decided to hire Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. They are hiring the Green Bay offensive coordinator, according to ESPN. Hackett has worked with quarterbacks at all phases on the developmental curve, was scheduled to interview with the Jaguars on Thursday, but the Broncos stepped in Wednesday night to get a deal done and prevent him from going to Jax. It'll be Hackett's first stint as a head coach. He becomes Denver's 4th different coach since the start of the 2016 season after replacing Vic Fangio. Fangio, of course, going 7-10 this past season, the Broncos' 5th consecutive losing season. Hackett's hiring will also, of course, immediately bring speculation about whether or not this move may have been moved, Lonzo, to try to bring Aaron Rodgers and also free agent Devontae Adams both to Denver. A-Rod's quarterback coach goes to Denver, gets him out of the division, gets him on the other side of the country, lines him up with a team that's got some talent and brings his number 1 wide receiver with him. There are question marks, and they are fair.
You know, the scary thing is I've been seeing all over social media pictures of those 2 in Broncos uniforms. It's just not right. It's not. It doesn't look good. It's a bad idea.
There are a lot of Broncos fans that are very much waking up excited today.
Oh, I don't blame them. I mean, I'd be excited too when you already got a pretty good team, but some people are saying, why would Aaron Rodgers go there with Mahomes there and the Chargers quarterback there, and why would he go there? He'd go there for that kind of competition. Why wouldn't he? He seems like that kind of guy that would go there just to compete with those 2 guys.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, you open up
imagine the AFC West with those 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. Super Bowl winner's probably coming out of that group, right? Somebody's going to be battle tested by the end of the year. All right. So there's your 3 items on the lunch breakdown today. USA v El Salvador at 6:30. Big Ben is done as a player. The Bears and Broncos have a new head coach. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I've got some interesting quotes and comments. We're going to go away from football for just a minute because obviously the second hour will open up with more Panthers talk. So we're going to get away from football for just a minute. I have got two different instances in smaller sports. Not smaller. Less viewed. Tennis and golf.
Smaller.
Tennis and golf. I've got two instances where players have really popped off the last couple of days. And I find it very interesting. And I want to know, is this the kind of stuff that would make you more or less interested to try out one of these sports? I'll tell you what I mean when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
I actually got 8 of 9 questions today. He said that they would be really hard, and but I was.
Of course, Lonzo, the haughty intellectual, was ready to go.
I have been somewhat lucid today. It'll go away eventually. I mean,
what lucid?
The fact that I'll go back to my normally sleepy demeanor soon.
I haven't watched it yet, but that spot from Sammy and Cody. Ooh. Ooh. I heard the match was good.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to discuss that.
Okay. I might watch it with the sound off.
Because, of course, I'm just nitpicky. But I do have a major question that I'm curious about. But I'll say that the high spots were excellent. That's all I'm saying. Obviously, the thing I sent you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was definitely a high spot. And if that's done wrong, somebody can
die.
Yeah. There were a couple spots like that throughout the night last night, not just with that match. There's also a match between Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole,
baby.
When they went away, when the camera went away, I don't know if there are any stills of it, but I thought Adam Cole was dead. I mean, just the way the blood is positioned on his face, the way he's laying there and he's not moving. It's stuff that you've seen in like war films and things. And it just, not war films, but war footage.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I'm going, is he moving at all? I mean, a good portion of the show last night was pay-per-view-esque.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, Steven, because,
Oh. There's a thing. It's ASMR. I don't know what it stands for. But there are people who basically go on YouTube and they eat, but they chew really quietly.
Oh, that thing. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
They opened with it? Wow. They opened with the ladder match? All right, so I got a couple of things here. And I'm just sometimes I do some segments just because I'm curious as to what y'all think, right? I got two different instances that I want to ask questions about. And I'll start with this one. We like our drama, right? We like our drama. We're a big fan of drama. You can say you're not, but sports are drama, and that's why we love sports.
I personally say that for my mama, but that's just me.
You might say the drama for your mama, but you a drama fan. We all are a little bit of drama fans. Anyway, earlier this week, Denis Shapovalov is a Canadian who shocked the Aussie Open. He was playing in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open, taking place right now down under. Shrimp on the bobby and all that. I'm not good at that. Anyway, down under.
Yeah, when Steve Irwin went away, everyone just kind of lost that.
Yeah,
sad loss for everybody, by the way.
Oh, the Mount Rushmore of great people. Steve Irwin's on it. It's like Steve Irwin, Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross.
Because when he was with us, he was everywhere, so you couldn't help but try to do that accent.
Oh, you had to love. Who didn't love Steve Irwin? The guy's a goat. Anyway, Denis Shapovalov was taking on Rafael Nadal at the U.S. Open in the quarterfinal. And, he had said in the past that he thought that some players had gotten preferential treatment, specifically the big three. Well, Shapovalov was on the court taking on Nadal. We got towards the end of the second set, and Rafael Nadal had to take a little bit of a break, right? Had to take a little bit of a break. There are rules about what can and can't happen when you need a medical break to get retaped up or your ankle's bum or whatever. Well, Raf was apparently having some stomach issues. It was like 100-something degrees outside. It's a little warm. Raf was having a bit of a stomach issue, took a break. And while he took a break, he also took a bathroom break. Well, last year, Denis Shapovalov in another tournament was in a similar spot, asked for a bathroom break, and was told no. Said he was taking too long to play. Well, Raf got a medical break and a restroom break, and Denis was not thrilled about it. So he made his concerns known. Later on, after a set break, when it was time to flip court and flip serve, Denis Shapovalov was ready to serve, and Rafa Nadal was just coming off the bench and taking his time. Shapovalov had already been warned for slowing down play. Nadal was not warned for throwing down play. So Denis Shapovalov had enough, went to the umpire, and said this to his face.
Playing Jim's favorite music there, bit of Neil Diamond.
You started the clock so long ago, he's still not ready to play. Yeah, you got to code him.
Chapo asking for Nadal to be given a time violation. Probably not going to ingratiate him with Rafa.
Ready to play either because you come to talk to me. You came to talk to me. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm not kidding. You guys are all corrupt. You guys are all corrupt.
Just so you guys are all corrupt. That's not going to ingratiate him with the chair umpire either. He's not making any friends out here.
He says to the ump, "You guys are all corrupt." In the NFL, that's like a $150,000 fine, right? He says, "You guys are all corrupt." Now, the thing is, he kind of had a point, I think. He kind of had a point because it absolutely did seem like Rafa was taking his time, getting set back up and back into the action. It really did seem like he was kind of taking his time a little bit, and it was a little bit frustrating for Shapovalov. And I think he may very well have a point. Lonzo, I got to tell you, I appreciate in a spot like that, a dude who's genuinely willing to air it out, right? Because I was thinking the same thing. He's sitting on the service line with the ball ready to go. Raf's still over on the bench, and not a single person. The rest clock is hit 0. Not a single person goes, "Raf, tick-tock, big dog. We got to go."
Purely from an entertainment standpoint, I would rather have heard him go McEnroe. He was a little too polite, even in him calling everyone corrupt. You need a little bit of anger behind that.
You cannot be serious.
Exactly.
I
So
don't know.
this is not unheard of in the sport. We haven't heard anything about it in a while, but I find it kind of refreshing. And if it's true, and it sounds like it is true, that a star was getting preferential treatment, you got to call him out on it.
You do, and I'm glad somebody did.
But don't count on getting those calls when it's right on the line and things like that from now on, because all those umpires are going to they're going to band together, solidarity, and you're in trouble for the rest of your career.
I mean,
probably.
I'd like to hope that this is a point where people start calling it out, right? Like, I need other players to step up and call it out, because I absolutely agree. I do think that Roth, I think that that Novak, I think that all the big ones have gotten some preference. But again, it's good for tennis, right? It's good for tennis to have superstars. We talked about this with golf for how many years, right? Golf hit its incline. Golf hit its most popular when what? When Tiger Woods was a huge celebrity. When Tiger Woods was a superstar in every sense of the word, it was at that point that golf was at its most popular. It was at that point that golf was getting video games. It was at that point that golfers were showing up at Super Bowls and being recognized as celebrities. It was at that point that golf was at its heyday. I mean, I'm talking even back to the old days with the Masters and all that. It was at that point in time when golf was as well recognized, as recognized as it's ever been anywhere else ever. And I respect that. You got to have it. That's what tennis has done. Rafa Nadal, Novak. By the way, I promise you that tennis doesn't hate what's going on with Novak Djokovic right now, right? He basically got banned from the Aussie Open because he wasn't vaccinated. Australia's rules are, if you want to be here, you got to be vaccinated. He got his card. A judge said, yes, you can come here. Then another judge said, no, you absolutely cannot. That guy was wrong. He wasn't allowed in the Aussie Open, and it cost him another chance to win a major. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. Tennis loves it because they're getting eyes on that sport that they wouldn't otherwise ordinarily have. And it doesn't matter if you're pro-Novak or anti-Novak. The majority of us have a side because this is a story that crosses over into real life a little bit. And so there are some folks that are in Novak's corner, some that aren't, but tennis doesn't care because this is the most a tennis player has been talked about maybe ever. He's on every major news channel, right?
The same thing has happened in NASCAR to a degree when there have been fights and then suddenly it's everywhere and people are talking about NASCAR. Drama gets people to look at your sport that haven't looked at it in a while or have never looked at it to see what's up. And then suddenly you're watching, okay, this guy's a hothead. What's he going to do the next time he's out on the court? You can't help but want to see what that is. And then maybe they hook some people with that. Yeah.
I mean, look, what was the biggest thing NASCAR's had going for it in the past couple of years? Bubba Wallace, right? With the controversy that happened down in Talladega, with the show of support for Bubba out of the other drivers, Michael Jordan getting into the sport. I mean, these are all drama. This is all drama. And the more of it there is, the more eyes go to the product. Now, speaking of drama, let's ask you if this helps. We talked about tennis. Let's flip over to boxing for just a minute. John Rahm is the world number one right now. John Rahm had a hell of a year last year. Colin Morikawa, who has been nipping his heels in the last couple of tournaments, the two of them had some interesting comments. They were competing at the American Express Championship last weekend, and John Rahm, after one hole, said, piece of blanking setup. It's a putting contest this week. Why did he say that? Hudson Swafford, the winner, 23 under, and there were a bunch of guys that were lined up right in that same ballpark from that spot. Colin Morikawa was in the same boat. He said the same thing. It's a putting contest. It's too easy right now. He said it's fun to go out there occasionally and shoot. In fact, Morikawa, here's a quote. It's fun to shoot 34 under sometimes, but if I had to do it every week, I'd kind of get sick of it. You need balance. And I agree, right? When I tune in to watch golf, I don't tune in to watch superheroes do. I tune in to watch golf courses make PGA golfers look like me, right? I tune in to watch those guys have to hack a little bit. It is impressive to watch dudes stripe a 320 drive down the center of the fairway. It's absolutely impressive. But I enjoy it when I watch a guy end up 3 yards right off the fairway in ankle-deep grass and has to figure out how to play that up and out. Colin Moore, the game of golf has athletes openly right now saying it's too easy. The courses are too easy. They're set up too easy, etc. That's the opposite, right? There's no drama in that. In fact, these golfers are saying the exact opposite. They're saying there is no drama. There's no drama because there's nowhere you can make a mistake and have it ruin your day. You hit it 10 feet off into the rough. It's not really that rough. It's just like slightly higher grass. And it's ultimately, it kind of takes away from the game. If there are golfers that are consistently, Lonzo, going out and shooting 34, 35, 40 under on a tournament, not that I was going to have great odds to get you to tune in for a Sunday anyway, but does it help or hurt?
Well, this is the opposite of watching a football game. Football game, you see more scores. A lot of people are into that. In this case, if you see a score that low, it's like, how easy is this guy's home course? How come everyone is scoring so low? It definitely makes it not as interesting.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah, you made it to Thursday.
I really
not
did.
Bad.
I really did. I don't know. I like when golf courses play tough, and when you end up in a situation where going, this is too easy.
Yeah, if he hadn't said that, do you? That's not how this is supposed to happen.
I don't think I have that option. If I did, sure. But I don't think I have that option, unfortunately.
Says the guy who's had people call him and say, hey, come to the Masters and come to this. Yeah.
That is true. That did happen. All right. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Email me, Rob Brown at espnupstate.com. I always forget to mention the email. I want to remind you that coming up this weekend, your AFC and NFC championship game will both be carried live right here on ESPN Upstate, folks. If you are going to be out and about driving around in the car, got to work on Sunday, well, worry not, my friends. We will have play-by-play from opening to last whistle of both of those games. You will hear who punches the tickets to the Super Bowl right here on ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. I want to talk ACC basketball. How about last night in the ACC? It's getting weird, man. We'll talk about where Clemson matches up and all of that. Plus, South Carolina women's basketball was supposed to play UConn tonight, the other best team in the country. They are not doing that. Why? Does Don Staley have a point? We'll argue that later on as well. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Oh, God. On to the Foley part. Oh.
A new era officially beginning in Pittsburgh. As expected, Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger announcing his retirement after an 18-year NFL career, all with Pittsburgh. The future Hall of Famer, a two-time Super Bowl champ, led the Steelers to 3 AFC title games. Roethlisberger was the 11th overall pick in the 2004 NFL draft. He leaves the game 5th in league history in passing yards and 8th in touchdown passes. The Bears and Broncos have both hired their new head coaches. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus headed to Chicago, while Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett taking over in Denver. Both men are first-time head coaches. Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn returning to Dallas for the 2022 season. He interviewed for 4 head coaching vacancies with the Bears, Broncos, Vikings, and Giants.
From the Ingles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM ESPN Upstate.
The other video.
Yeah, that's funny. My guys were vibing.
It shows you that they're always in sync.
Yeah.
And select sauces and varieties. General Mills cereal, 2 for $5. Eagle, Lopez's, love the savings.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive Viagra is available in generic form, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED for a fraction of the cost. And Hims makes it extra affordable. The generic form of Viagra has the same active ingredient, but is 90% cheaper. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. That's right, free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to medical providers online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. Then a certified
Yes. Yes, he is correct. Hey, Lou, you caught me. Make Granda go buy you these Cheez-Its. They're the best. They're bacon Cheez-Its. That's top-tier Cheez-Its, Lonzo. My nephew recognized my Cheez-Its just from this. Impressive.
I am a fan of the Cheez-Its. I don't know if I put bacon top 3, though.
Bacon cheddar's good. Bacon pepper jack is where it's at.
I was going to say pepper jack, yeah.
Or just the straight spicy.
I also am still rather fond of just the regular old Cheetos.
Boring.
I said Cheetos. I meant Cheez-Its. My bad. I like Cheetos, too.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. What a good night in the ACC last night in basketball. Georgia Tech shocks FSU. FSU had been on a good run. Georgia Tech beats them. Miami wins on an absolute buzzer beater last night, 78-75 over Virginia Tech. North Carolina edges BC, and Notre Dame 73-65 winners over NC State. The night before that, though, was the game that had everybody talking just a little bit. Duke, Clemson. Brad Brownell's boys 11-9, 3-6 in the ACC up against a Duke team that had just lost to FSU a couple of days before that, and they fall 71-69. Clutch time just could not get it done. You know, Lonzo, I really do hate when sports cliches get brought up over and over again. But the whole premise of Duke gets away with a lot, it's true. It's true. It's just, at this point, it's not even, like, it's not
For how much?
Good question.
Does all that
around when Mikey K is gone?
Yeah, does all that end after this season? Does the Duke mystique go away? Is it more the coach than it is the school?
I don't know, man. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski made Duke, right?
But he's also very respected to a point where I think they allow his team to get away with more. And who remembers a time before Krzyzewski? So you don't, I mean, you know, there's that. So you don't know how they were treated before then.
I'd be curious. That's a good question. Will it be the same down the road? Will it be the same when Mike Krzyzewski is no longer there? I don't know. What I do know is that there were about 4 different spots down the floor late in that game where I watched. And again, I'm not a college basketball referee, but I don't think you need to be sometimes, right? think the obvious ones are obvious. Watched about 3 different spots down the stretch of that game, including on the big man for Duke, Benchera, who brought a huge right hand down and to the left of, I do not remember who had the ball. I want to say it was maybe Alamir Dawes. One of them had the ball, and the big right hand came over the top. And to me, it was like, how's that not called? I think Clemson took a lot of heat for not finishing that game. I think Clemson was in a spot where they didn't really have a whole heck of a lot of option there. Yeah, there's a miss here and there, a couple of free throws that came up short. I know that I think they'd want back. But you got to have better. By the way, actually, I say that. This is interesting, Alonzo. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, did I miss something here? How many free throws did Clemson take in that game, Zoe? They were 29 of 71 from the floor. They were 11 of 26 from the three-point line. It's not a great shooting night. 40% from the floor, 42% from the three-point line.
Where was this played at?
This was at Duke.
So I'm going to say Clemson took 5 free throws. Wow. That would be 1, wouldn't it?
Yep. Now listen, I've heard a lot of people say, how do you expect to win when you're shooting at 40%, right? Duke shot 48.1%. They were 50%, 10 of 20 from the three-point line. They went to the line 13 times in that game.
Well, you grow up and you go to Clemson to play basketball. All you hear about is how you can't beat Duke at their house. It's got to be in your head, always in the back of your head. You want to be the team that does it, but always in the back of your head, something makes you fall short. At least it seems that way. And it could be the refs not calling. It could be not getting free throws.
I mean, again, shooting 40.8%, 41% from the floor is not going to get it done when you're on the road at Duke. But at the same time, I mean, I got to tell you, it'd be easy for me to get you to shoot 40% if the refs are sending you to one. Unless ESPN's writing the stats down wrong. Now, I was working, so I had the game on in the background, and I was checking in when there would be a run or whatnot. But unless I'm reading ESPN's box score wrong, they shot a free throw. Single one.
They missed it, looked like.
Yeah, and 0 for 1.
Yeah.
I can make you go 40.8% if I'm allowed to whack the hell out of you every time you take a shot. Right? Listen, I've heard the last couple of days a lot of questions about Brad Brownell. And frankly, I think a lot of them are warranted.
Are those the same questions that we heard last year and the year before and the year before?
Yeah, and I got news for you about next year, too. I got news for you about next year if he gets another one. Yes. And I think it's fair, and I think I'm fine with those questions being asked. I think it's absolutely fair to ask those questions. How does this team go there and shoot 40.8%? That can't happen. But you can only do so much to control how many times you get to the line, right? You can only do so much to control how often you get to the line. And getting a free throw, it's tough to do. I don't want to say, I don't want to sit here and say you can blame this loss on that. But 1 free throw for a college basketball team? 1? How's that even a thing? I went yesterday because the first thing I saw once that L went bad was a bunch of Clemson fans on social media blaming the refs. And I'm like, here we go again, right? Here we go again. There are games where sometimes the referees are really bad and they sway the game one way or the other, but this has got to be too much, right? And then I went and looked. 0 for 1 from the free throw line. 1 free throw. Yeah. It's super easy to keep a team at 40%, ladies and gentlemen, if you're allowed to just shoulder check them every single time that they go up for a shot. This is a bubble team, all right? I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that, Clemson's looking at a 5 seed. Clemson, they're not. They're a bubble team. They're going to be a bubble team. They're going to stay a bubble team. There's no doubt about it. But these are the type of wins that really help you out. These are the type of the wins that really help you out. This one has got to be one to grow on, right? This is one you've got to get better. This is one you have to look ahead now. You took the L to Duke. coming off of you had a 3-game losing streak to Notre Dame, Boston College, and Syracuse. You beat Pitt. Now, you got a couple of days break. February 2nd, Florida State comes to the house. 2-2. FSU's at the house. That's a massive game. This is an FSU team that's got some good wins. They're probably a, 11 seed, 10 seed, something like that. Florida State's sitting at 13-6, 6-3 in the ACC. This is the game Clemson has to win at home. Must win this game at home. Then you're at Georgia Tech, a team that just beat Florida State. That'd be a huge one too. Clemson's playing for a bubble. Now, without a doubt, playing to get on the bubble. But those games, like the one at Duke, those are the ones that put you to the next level. And again, your backs were against the wall when officials are sending you to the line one time. And by the way, Duke fans, of which I know there's a few, don't get mad when people say the refs support Duke. Clemson shot a free throw. You think that was an accident? Come on, man. Come on. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1. We're going to be joined by Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast at 1 o'clock. Mark Shelley, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, at 1:20. 2:20. Fight Club comes your way. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. For a coat to go outside, but he still wears his overalls with no shirt under it.
Style. That's what it is. His voice is still too high for his body, though. You picture you have this real deep bass, and he some Mark Henry type voice, and he doesn't. You can't hear it, but Shivani sells it. I mean, the whole time he's like,
Yeah.
at the end, he's like, my hand is stuck to my microphone, and then Hobbs reaches in and goes, who cares? I was worried the whole time they're going to throw Tony in the river. You don't want to do that.
Imagine showing up to AEW, getting your first match, even as a jobber. And they're like, yeah, you're going to go take 19 power bombs from Wardlow. That's your intro to the biz.
You know how that works. They bring in a local guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they I've heard how they do it from firsthand. They go through and go, okay, you're too big. You're too this. So they find the scrawniest guy.
These two boys he's fighting right now aren't small.
Compared to him, they are, though.
Well, yeah, everybody's small compared to him. He's a freaking machine.
Premier Upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate golf cards now to play courses including the Preserve at Verde, Willow Creek, Legacy Pines, Carolina Springs, and more. Order at the UpstateGolfCard.com. 10 rounds of golf for only $99. UpstateGolfCard.com. UpstateGolfCard.com. This feature is sponsored by Indeed. If you want to find quality new hires in the new year, post on Indeed. When you sponsor a post, you'll get matched instantly with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TrackPhone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TrackPhone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
So a friend told me about Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors, and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Greatest invention ever. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning. This report is sponsored by Freedom Plasma. Did you know blood plasma collected by Freedom Plasma is used for several life-saving therapies? And did you know you could earn hundreds of dollars safely donating yours? Go to freedomplasma.com or call 864-377-8115. Start earning cash and saving lives.
The Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show. On the Upstate
Finishing up hour number one here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. A couple of stories I wanted to get into. Brooklyn Nets have said that they will shun any deadline offers made for a trade for James Harden. And of course they would. Why wouldn't they? They're the odds-on favorites to win the NBA title this year. Why would they? That didn't shock me, right? Harden's a free agent at the end of the year.
Cry in your beard, James. You're staying here.
Earlier this week, James Harden said, in a story that made me LOL. James Harden said that he was growing frustrated, Lonzo, at how inconsistently the officials are calling penalties in the league this year. No. See, James, you're not frustrated that they're being inconsistent. In fact, quite the opposite. You're frustrated that they're being more consistent. You're frustrated at the fact that when you got to a point where 60% of your game was shoot a weird J and jump into a defender to draw a foul, that the NBA went, yeah, that's not, no, just, no. And you don't have that anymore. So now you're trying to go look for fouls in places that there aren't any, and you're getting frustrated because you're not getting them. Cracked me up. Loved it. As if there was one dude in the league who deserved to whine about inconsistent fouls being called. It's James, my whole career been made this way, Harden. Come on, James. You know what's so frustrating? Is James Harden should be one of the best we've ever seen do it. Dude's got a cross at the line that still rocks dudes to sleep. All right? But James Harden has gotten to the point where He doesn't know how to do it anymore. At least it doesn't feel like he knows how to do it anymore without drawing cheat. It's like the whole game is draw fouls, draw cheat fouls.
Well, when you've been allowed to get away with it your whole career, did you ever look at James Harden and think that beard's not real? Like he hangs it up at night and he's like 3 or 4 in his closet and he like sneaks out and goes anywhere he wants because no one will recognize him without it.
Snaps it off the side of the
because it doesn't. It looks like action figure beard. It just doesn't look real.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And for the record, I've said for years, I don't get mad at James Harden for having played that way. It doesn't bother me that James Harden's played that way.
Because the league allowed him to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If tomorrow I found a way to make my job easier and get paid more, I'd also do that thing, right? Of course, we all look for ways to do that. James Harden found a way to put more points on the board and get paid a lot more money to do it. I'm not mad at him. But now that that's off the books and he's got to go back to, playing offense, he's lost. He's lost. And the fact that he is complaining about inconsistent officiating when my dude has made his career off of inconsistent officiating, it just made me laugh a little bit. Anyway, the Nets said we are not looking to move James Harden, and I'm not surprised they're not looking to move James. Why would you? Don't worry, Lonzo. I got that sound coming up.
Yeah, I know.
My man Giannis walked into the postgame presser with a bucket of chicken wings and was just gnawing down on wings while answering questions. By the way, after a loss, gets drilled by the Cavs, rolls into the postgame presser with a bucket of chicken wings. They're like, hey, Giannis, what went wrong? Fantastic stuff, Giannis. If I didn't like that guy. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us. We'll talk some Carolina Panther football. Then Mark Shelley, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joins us at 1:20. Fight Club at 2:20. We busy, y'all, on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. That hour.
Anybody else, he's getting destroyed over bringing the wings in. He's just smiling and all. Yeah, that's. What happened to?
We heard Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the trading block. Of course he is. He's got $41 million left on his account. Never plays. Never plays. You don't think for a second that if the Carolina Panthers could get a first, hell, a second-round pick for Christian McCaffrey today with a team that's willing to pick up the rest of his tab and he's gone, they would cut their losses so fast you could not even blink. And it's not that Christian McCaffrey isn't a super talented player. Isn't a uniquely talented player. Isn't one of the most diverse players in the NFL because he absolutely is. The problem is he can't play. The problem is he's never helped us.
Offsides with Mark Raga, 3 to 7 p.m. on ESPN Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. NBA last night, the Hornets beat the Pacers 158-126. The final, LaMelo Ball with a triple-double, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. Big night for Kelly Oubre Jr. with 39 points in the win. The Hornets are 27-22 with the victory. Back at it this Friday night at home against the Lakers. NHL tonight, the Hurricanes visit the Senators. Carolina has points in 8 of 10. They're 2 points out of first place in the Metropolitan Division, chasing the Penguins and the Rangers. College hoops last night, the Tar Heels beat Boston College 58-47. Longwood 79-71 winners over North Carolina A&T. In overtime, Winthrop passed South Carolina Upstate 95-91. Number 25 Davidson fell 70-68 against VCU. The Citadel beat Western Carolina.
Speak to Rashad, please.
South Carolina 70-61
Hey,
over Vanderbilt.
I'm trying to think of something weird to say to you every single time so Rob can make fun of me on the air because I really like the attention. But I got nothing today. So. I don't want to crack on the Saints. We had, I had to break the news in the middle of an Urban Meyer diatribe that he was doing, and he hasn't forgiven me for that. So yeah. All right, hang on. Look at how your face just changed when I didn't bring it up. He did. It wasn't me. I'm just working on getting better at something. I'm sorry that you are part of the,
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. The second hour goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. And it's 1 o'clock on Thursday, which means, as we do at this time every week, we go to the phone lines and welcome in the young man out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who joins us week in and week out to talk a little Carolina Panther football. He is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. He is Rashad Beard. And Rashad, go ahead, buddy. Just go ahead. I've had a week. I've been giving you crap for 9 weeks now.
that like yesterday.
Go ahead, bud. It's all yours. Just let me have it.
First of all, I feel like I should be interviewing you today. But I tell you what, man, this is it's a glorious day for Panther Nation. It's a glorious event having Sean Payton finally leave the NFC South. And again, I'm not sure what the reasons are. So hopefully all is well with him in his personal life and all that good stuff. But from a football standpoint, it is glorious to see Sean Payton out of the NFC South. He's been killing us year after year after year. And so we're happy. Panther Nation is happy. And we're just waiting on Tom Brady to hang it up next so we can finally, take over the South, hopefully.
All right, so Sean Payton's done. By the way, I will tell you that we found out a couple of minutes ago that the Saints have just put in a request to Tampa Bay to interview Byron Leftwich, which I find interesting. I kind of like it a little bit, I think, Rashad. But Sean Payton's gone. The Saints are likely in rebuild mode, right? $70 million over the cap. No quarterback signed as of now. Jameis Winston is a free agent. And the question here is, does this open up the South, right? Working under the assumption that Tom Brady's going to retire. And he sounds different in this offseason than he has in any offseason in recent memory. Working under the assumption Brady walks out. Realistically, Rashad, and be honest with me here, how likely is it that Carolina takes the step to be in contention for this division next season?
Oh, man. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's honestly speaking, it's probably 50-50 shot. I do not know what to expect from this coaching staff. I do not know what to expect from this roster. We've got a lot of question marks. I think we are in good position if everything goes to plan and we can somehow identify a viable option at quarterback. I think our chances go up. I still have question marks about this coaching staff and about the future of the coaching staff. But I will say, from this offseason, all signs point to this, the GM and Tepper and everybody seems like this is going to be an all-in season due to the fact that Matt Rule is pretty much on the hot seat. And so they're going to do whatever it takes, right? I think you have to take advantage of this window, but you have to do it smart, right? You can't just, start to go crazy with the cap and go nuts with, signing some random quarterback into $40 million a year contract. You got to be smart about it so that you protect the future and you can take the division over for years to come, not just 2 years. So I think they have to approach it very carefully. But again, to answer your question directly, 50-50 shot next season. And again, I have question marks about the coaching staff mainly.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. All right, let me throw a conspiracy theory I saw floating around a little bit, Rashad, out there and get your thoughts on it. So, Matt Rule, basically everybody believes he's got 1 year, right? This is it for him. He's either got to get to the playoffs or be right up on him, or he's done. So they bring in Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator. And McAdoo is well known in NFL circles for being a pretty decent evaluator of talent at the quarterback position. When he was in New York, he wanted Patrick Mahomes. The Giants got Daniel Jones instead. He was let go the next year. He went into the New York Times and said to both teams, you need to either get Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. They passed on that. They all regret that as well. Matt Rule has an opportunity here, I think, Rashad. And his opportunity is if Ben McAdoo looks at one of the quarterbacks in this draft and says, that's Allen, that's Jackson, that's Mahomes, you get that guy. Is it insane to think that Matt Rule grabs a quarterback? Because if he can grab a quarterback, and even if they don't make the playoffs, have a quarterback with a promising start to his career under he and Ben McAdoo, who has been getting praised from guys like Aaron Rodgers, etc., David Tepper might give him one more year based on the potential for that quarterback to grow into something special.
I most certainly think that is a possibility. I think that is accurate. And I have to agree with that if they're showing promise. I think we have to make the playoffs or at least be like playing up into week 18 saying that we have a shot. Like we have to be competitive, right? We have to be really, really competitive going into it with a rookie quarterback. I think we'll be fine, and I think that does buy Matt Rule another year or so potentially. Now, I will say this, and I agree with everything you said about Ben McAdoo in regards to his quarterback evaluations. I do think we should listen to him because, again, we have to keep in mind with McAdoo, he wasn't a very good head coach. But head coach responsibilities are much different from offensive coordinator responsibilities and talent evaluation. Like, it's completely different. So I think if Ben McAdoo can come in and have this offense looking presentable and be at least average, I think we can be fine. So I want to say I trust Ben McAdoo, and I hope all those rumors are true about what he's saying and all that stuff about the evaluation, because I've read all that stuff too about Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all that stuff. And if that's true and he says, hey, Pickett or whoever it is the guy, and I think you got to kind of listen to him. So, I mean, I don't think anything's off the table. I honestly don't. So it's all about being successful. If we can make the playoffs, I think it does buy Matt Rule another year.
Talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So if Matt Rule does, let's say he goes Malik Willis, a guy that I'm intrigued, not over the moon, right? Lamar Jackson was a guy I was over the moon about. I thought that guy was going to be a stud. Malik, I think, has better wheels than Lamar, but he's not as accurate. That being said, played at Liberty, wasn't working with NFL caliber receivers. Who knows what he's going to be capable of at the next level. Rashad, if he goes and gets a Malik Willis, and let's say the Panthers get to, 6-7 wins next year, but you're getting really good numbers out of a young quarterback at that spot, and Tepper gives Matt Rule one more year, saves himself another $11 million by buying him one more year. As a Panther fan, what's your reaction to that?
Man, that is so tough, man. That is so tough because you know what you don't want to do is do what the Bears did, right? They picked up Justin Fields, and then they fired the head coach, and now you're kind of in flux. You don't know if that coach is going to buy into a Justin Fields. So you get in a situation where, and that's why I'm kind of hesitant with allowing Matt Rule to pick up another quarterback, especially drafting one, because the future is so uncertain. You get in these situations where the quarterbacks get lost in the sauce, i.e. like Josh Rosen. I'm not trying to compare the talent, but Josh Rosen, those type of guys, they get lost, and they're decently talented quarterbacks, but then they, a coach doesn't, wants to come in and get their guy, and they're rightfully entitled to that, right? They want to get their guy to tie their name to, not somebody's leftovers. So, I mean, I understand it. I as a fan, I don't think I would love it. And it all depends who they will bring in to work with, said Malik Willis, because I think you need a certain type of offensive guy that can work with Malik Willis, certain type of offensive staff to work with Malik Willis. I love Malik Willis, but I don't think he's a day one starter. He needs to sit maybe a couple weeks, 6 to 7 weeks, to kind of get it right and prepare for the NFL. Because like you said, he does play for Liberty, so he needs a bit of a time to ramp up. I think eventually he'd be really good, but I think he needs a year or so to kind of learn and develop, and then maybe start next year. So that's a really tough scenario, bro. I got to be honest with you. It would really have to go off a feeling. 6 wins, I don't think would be enough. I would have to let Matt Rule go.
We're talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, but make sure you subscribe to their channel on YouTube as well, where they go live all the time. You're absolutely going to want to check out some of that content. We've talked, obviously, about Ben McAdoo and the quarterback evaluation. We've talked about what would go into it if there's a rookie quarterback. The big cog that we're waiting to see what happens still is Christian McCaffrey, right? I mean, we know about the injury concerns. We're not breaking any news here. Guys played effectively 1 out of every 3 games in the past 2.5 seasons now. But the amount of money that's on that contract is a big part of why I think they put out feelers for a potential trade, and we have not heard anything as of late. Do you have any thoughts on what is happening with McCaffrey? Have you heard anything new about where McCaffrey is? Is there any more smoke flying around the HQ right now?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything. The last I heard was when Scott Fitterer came out and said he had a conversation conversation with Christian McCaffrey in regards to the situation, saying that, hey, we're going to listen to offers. We're not floating you around, but if there's an offer out there, we're going to listen to it. I think that's the right approach. Again, I don't know. The contract is so hefty, and they just restructured it too. So on the back end, there's a lot of money tied into the contract. And so I think it's going to be really tough to find a trade partner to take that contract. Maybe a team like the Jaguars that have a ton of cap space would be interested. They're in the process of rebuilding, right? So I think you could potentially find a trade partner. It's a matter of the conversation that you're going to get back, whether it's, draft capital, what it's going to be, right? Are you going to get the right conversation back for Christian McCaffrey, given that they have to accept such a big contract? So I have not heard anything in regards to it. I think they really want Christian McCaffrey to come back healthy and play a 17-game season. So I think they want him, and I think they're prepared for that. Every time they go into the season, they always talk about how Christian McCaffrey's the guy, and then they prepare for it, and you can see it in the offense, right? I really hope that they're prepared with life without Christian McCaffrey, just in case it does happen. And if he's there, that's all great. But you need to consider having a guy like Amir Abdullah back on the roster to replace a Christian McCaffrey just in case he can't finish the season. So I haven't heard anything new. Again, I just kind of wait and see, but I think they're preparing for Christian McCaffrey to return back to the Carolina Panthers given the contract. We are talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. All right, let's flip back to the draft. Got another couple of minutes here with you, Rashad. We talked about the potential for quarterback. My theory right now is Ben McAdoo was brought in because he can eyeball quarterback. But I think the majority of Panthers fans have said, I would join that group, that, offensive line is the way to go, specifically finding that key left tackle for whoever is going to be the quarterback next year. I know the young man Brown out of Mississippi State, one of the bigger, longer guys, Matt Rule, there's kind of the running joke about the fact that the number one stat he's looking for in an offensive lineman is arm length more than anything else, and this kid certainly got it. Do they stay at 6 and go with the best 2 or 3 tackles in the draft? I think there's a pretty hefty drop-off from tackle number 3 to number 4. Do they stay at 6? Do they trade back and look for anywhere across the offensive line? As of today, if quarterback's not the pick, what do the Panthers do? This is a really intriguing conversation. And it's one I try to prepare for. I do something called Mock Draft Monday, where I do mock drafts to kind of simulate what I think the Panthers would do. And it's really tough because we don't have a second or a third round pick. And so that pick number 6 is going to be valuable and probably look to be floated and look for a trade partner. But at the same time, we do have, like you said, a need for an offensive lineman. Now, I'll say this about the offensive line. I do feel like Brady Christensen deserves an opportunity to prove himself at left tackle. I thought he played well given the opportunity. So I'm not as sold at us just taking the best of left tackle available. Now, if Evan Neal is there, if he has position flexibility where he can move inside, he's a little different, right? But I don't know that because if you look at the layout of the line, the tackles are really, Christensen deserves an opportunity to play, and then you look at Moton, who is obviously the franchise right tackle. But I do think we need a center. My favorite pick in mocks right now is Tyler Linderbaum, who I think if we can trade back and stay within the top 10, I think he's the guy I'm looking to target maybe at 9 or 10. Maybe we can pick up an additional second or a third round pick. But I anticipate the Panthers trading back to get more picks. You saw us trade back a lot in the draft last year. And I think you'll see that for us to pick up more draft capital. I just don't know that we're going to move back too far. Like, I don't think we're going to trade back out of the top 15. But I personally anticipate a trade back within the top 10 and maybe taking a guy like Linderbaum, who is a center, or maybe even a Kyle Hamilton, which is interesting as well, a safety, because we do need a safety as well. But he's elite at safety. He's not just a regular safety. That's my opinion on the draft.
Yeah, same spot I came from. I thought trading back, well, even, unless my thought, Rashad, was if McAdoo's in there for a quarterback and if he says Malik Willis is the guy, that's the only reason that I think I stay put at 6, right? Because you're going to be looking at teams that are willing to jump up around 11, 12, around where Washington sits in order to maybe grab Malik Willis. But I think whether it's Kenny Pickett, I think whether it's Matt Corral, if any of those other guys are the ones that McAdoo says he's the guy, as long as you stay ahead of probably New Orleans at 18, I think you can grab any of those other quarterbacks. If Malik's the pick, you stay at 6. If it's anybody else, you got to build back draft capital, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I just think it's tough because if you take Malik at 6, you're not picking until day 3. So now you're like, we have other holes too. Like, it's not like we're quarterback is our only need. We have gaps at linebacker. We have gaps at safety. We have gaps at interior offensive line. So we have a lot of gaps to fill. And I do honestly think no matter what the position is, because you also got to keep an eye on Bailey Zappi too. That's a kid I like out of Western Kentucky that you can potentially get later in the second or third round. Maybe we can identify one of those later guys, but I just don't see maybe the one scenario you mentioned with McAdoo identifying a guy and saying, yeah, we got to take him. I just don't see any other scenario where we stay put at 6.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. And, of course, check them out on YouTube. Subscribe to that YouTube channel at Panther Nation Podcast. Rashad, my man, always good to talk to you, buddy. I will take all the Saints jokes you got on Twitter for the rest of the weekend, but then on Monday it's over, bud. It's over. I don't want to hear no more about it.
Listen, man, keep your head up, man. That's all I got to say. It could be worse. It could be worse.
It's true. It's true. We could all be the Houston Texans. You're not wrong. Rashad Beard will be back next week. Appreciate you, Shad.
All right, bro. Thank you, man.
You got it. We'll talk to Mark Shelley, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
He's got like 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, Trey, we know about that because Rob is trying to see if I'm willing to make a road trip on a Wednesday night.
I'll tell you now, you didn't make a decision because me and Joe B bought our tickets last night, and we're willing to sell them and move to a different spot if you're coming with us.
So what you're saying is too late. So you asked me, and I didn't answer
No, I
fast
just
enough.
told you we bought them so that we have them in hand, but we are
Just-
willing to move them to get to a third.
It's too late now.
It's not. I
Yeah, it's too
just
late.
told you. Every girl I've ever dated.
Rob Brown
Golly.
Show. Rob Brown. Hey, hang on. So I think this is bad form. You ask someone if they want to go, and then they're weighing the options. Then you just go ahead and buy tickets, and then didn't even give me a day.
I'm gonna give you like 2 days.
No, you didn't. It's just
Second
too
off,
late.
I just told you.
It's
We
too
got
late.
them so we know we have them.
No,
But unless they are sold out by the time you tell me, we will change.
no.
and
What
move
you're
to
saying
another
is,
set.
I know you're.
Cassidy hitting Cole's own move on him.
Yeah.
Sue.
You do also realize that I'm a half hour that way towards Columbia.
Yeah, you're closer than I am.
Yes, I am.
Plus, you can see upfront pricing and instantly book hundreds of projects. No phone tap, just the work you need done at a time that works for you. Angie's got your to-do list covered from start to finish.
Thank you, Stephen. I
Cole
appreciate.
just hit him with a whole ass.
I appreciate your support, Stephen. You're absolutely
I am
right.
not. You can try to paint me as the good guy or the bad guy.
I can't lie over here.
Not the good guy or the bad guy.
It kind of hurts, man.
I'm just.
It does.
Guy.
It kind of hurts. It does. Because you didn't say you need to decide right now. Because if you said that,
going to.
Okay.
Joe texted me and was like, "Do we want to go ahead and pull the trigger?" And I said yes. And he said, "Is Lonzo's coming?" I said he hasn't answered me yet, but Joe had pre-sale access.
You know, you have a phone, and you could text me. You don't.
30 last night.
Yeah. Don't let the grandpa thing fool you. I was playing the Diablo 2 Resurrected at 10:30. And you know what? You can find out if I'm. What time do you think I go to bed?
Like 10 o'clock, 10:30?
No, it's more like 11:30 or midnight. More proof that Rob Brown is an ageist. We've seen signs of it lately, and now we know it's true. Yes, Trey, he is going to be at Comic-Con, and I am working on trying to get him maybe on this show because he's kind of an older guy, and I don't know if Rob will want to talk to him since he's an older guy.
You guys are the worst. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the second segment of the 1 o'clock hour, we always talk a little local hockey. We talk upstate hockey with my friend and yours, and of course, the most seductive stylings, the best play-by-play guy in the hockey biz, my guy Mark Shelley on the phone line. Shelley, baby, what's happening, big fella?
Rob, all I got to say is I'm just happy that this time I actually unmuted myself because last time, remember, there was about 20-second pause. Hey, listen, I'm starting off on the right foot this time. I had a break last week, but hey, now I'm on easily talking and easily being able to talk to you without muting myself.
It's professionalism at its finest. You know, the standards that they set for guys like you and I, Mark Shelley, are through the roof. And, you know, you just got to make sure you hit them like, you know, not muting your microphone, which I have done twice in this show already. Don't worry about it. You're not alone.
Been there a million times. Been there a million times myself.
Mark Shelley, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the, we got some incredible events coming up this weekend at the homestand for the Swamp Rabbits. But before we do that, Mark Shelley, we have got to talk about a goal fest going down last night. 4 in the first period for the Rabbits. They end up getting one over on the Stingrays of South Carolina, 7-2 last night in a rivalry, Mark, that's been really heated all year long, really well contested all year long. Where did this extra gear come from for the boys last night?
You know, this is one of the most well-rounded performances we've seen from this team so far this season, and you know, and it's one of those where maybe it caught a few people by surprise because this is something we talked with Lordo in the pregame conversations on the broadcast last night about. This is a roster that looks entirely different than what we saw even just a couple of weeks ago with all the movements, with the taxi squads in the NHL, and a lot of fresh faces in here. But a lot of these young guys who are in their first season, they're getting an opportunity to play, and they've shown up in huge ways. And I think none bigger than Aiden McDonald last night. That's a guy who said, I'm going to carry this team. And, he's a rookie straight out of Brock University in U Sports. And what's he do? He goes out, not only gets his first professional goal, first professional multi-point game, and then caps it off with his first professional hat trick last night. So you look at this, and there are just nights where teams are flying. And last night, you think about it, it was a 10-day layoff. So, they had an opportunity to take some time off, but also be able to go out there and work on things and not have a whole weekend of games that were originally scheduled against Norfolk. And you think about this, the game that was supposed to be on the 16th and then played last night, and they really came out firing. And really through that first period, it was sort of a momentum shift at the media timeout. South Carolina had a majority of the shots, and they came to the benches. They talked about it right out of that. 10:54 in, McDonald gets his first goal, and then it was pretty much all Swamp Rabbits for the rest of the game.
So, this is a team, and they had a great win last Saturday over the Everblades, but wins were at a premium before that. Now they string two together, a good opportunity to go on a winning streak. As the old quote from Major League goes, you put one more of those together, they call it a winning streak. They do happen, Mark Shelley. We've talked with Lordo in the past about finding this next gear and keeping your mind off the negative and looking forward to a victory. Clearly, something has clicked here. Has anything been done differently, or is this just a result of trusting the process and sticking to the grind?
One thing that stands out is this team is healthy. That's one thing that has really sort of bogged this team down over the start. You can look at it and you say, here's the original opening night roster. And at one point there were 8 players from this team that were either in the AHL or NHL. And so that sort of opened the door to bring in some of these Canadian collegiate players. And like I said, they've jumped right into it. So some of these new faces getting an opportunity, and they're making the most out of it. And then you get some of the bigger, your guys that you've been relying on in those big moments to come back into the lineup. Brett Kemp, he's had his fair share of ups and downs in terms of the injury world. When he's healthy, he's on. Last night, a beautiful goal by him, a 3-point night. He had a goal and 2 assists. And, of course, Liam Pecoraro, he's the team's leading scorer for a reason. He gets a big-time helper in that second period. And once you start getting guys who maybe have struggled throughout the season, once they find the way to get over that snake-bitten first part of the season, anything can happen. And I think we saw that from Sean Cameron last night. He's a guy that has been searching the entire season for his first goal. Last night he got it, and he had a 2-point night. So first multi-point night of the season for him. And, that was one thing I talked with Lordo about, and he mentioned, hey, once that happens for a guy like him or any of these other guys who have struggled to find points, the floodgates are going to open. So watch out for this team right now.
Love to hear it. Keep an eye on the standings right now. The Swamp Rabbits currently sit 5th in the division. But obviously there's a remarkable difference in the style of play the last week and a half or so from what we've seen in those previous 10 games. Look, Shelley, I don't think we're doing any, I don't think we're pulling any punches here to say we're in a hole points wise, right? I mean, we've got some ground to make up here, but a really good opportunity to do so against the Florida Everblades team that last Saturday came into the well, took the L. But I think more importantly, Shelley, it was the first time that I have seen this year this Swamp Rabbits team really get into the face of Florida. Florida's a very physical team. They're a team that tries to get in your heads and beat you up a little bit. The Swamp Rabbits team stared them in the face, took every punch, some of them literally, and pushed Florida around a little bit, which I think sets them up well with a good mentality going into a 3-game stretch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think we saw that sort of starting to boil on Friday night, and we saw a very physical game. And then Saturday is when all those bubbles started coming over the top of the pot, right? They started splashing all over the stovetop with the fights and the extracurriculars and even some game misconducts in that game. But you look at it, from what you said. This is a very tall, big-bodied, physical team that wears you down. They're very strong offensively. They know how to put the puck into the back of the net. And the Swamp Rabbits came out on Saturday night and said, "We're not afraid of you." They said that on Friday night. 2 weeks ago. They said that same night. They just, sometimes it doesn't bounce your way, right? When they lose 3-1, but the next night they came back and they had the same mentality and things went their way, right? So it can happen on any different day, but getting a big win like that, they were at that point the division leaders. So to snap the skid that they were on against the division leaders, that gave them that confidence. They got rested, they got healthy, they come back, they beat South Carolina in a big way. Now you look at this and you say momentum is all the way in the Swamp Rabbits, and you get Florida for 3 straight nights at home. So obviously home ice advantage, the fans in the building. I'll tell you what, that Saturday night against Florida, that was probably the loudest I've heard the arena all season long. Just a wildly entertaining game, a wildly entertaining atmosphere. And I know that this team, these players, the coaches, all of us even upstairs love it when it's like that. And I certainly expect it to be that way this weekend.
3-game stand against Florida. Expectations here, Shelley, because again, like we pointed out, we know there's a little bit of a hole to dig out here. 12 points behind Orlando in 4th place, which I believe, if I recall correctly, top 4 teams will make the playoffs. So there's some room to go here. How big would it be to be able to come out on the positive side of points against the team sitting currently in 2nd right now, but one that the Rabbits now know you can beat this team?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And anytime you look at it, it's one of those, if you can get wins against teams that when someone looks at the standing to say, you're not supposed to beat them, that's sort of what the mentality has been for the Rabbits over this first part of the season, right? You look at it, there's no hiding that. Of people are looking and say, yeah, they're, like you said, there is the hole that they have to climb out of, and they've embraced that, right? That's why they've turned things around. So they're starting, anytime they get an opportunity, a team ahead of them in the standings, they know what they have to do. And if they can take points away from them, that allows them to start to close the gap on that 4th spot. And like you said, this is a big opportunity to do that. You have 6 points up for grabs on the weekend. Even if you can take 4 out of the 6, that's a huge win for the Swamp Rabbits in trying to get back into this race and really make it competitive and push for the playoffs.
We're talking to Mark Shelley, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. On top of that, it's not just the games. We've got 3 of them this weekend, Friday and Saturday nights at 7:05, and then, of course, an afternoon matinee on Sunday. But you guys have a couple of big promotion games coming up. Saturday night, Military Appreciation Night. And then Sunday, kind of a family-style night, Pirates and Princesses night. Dress up. Let the kids dress up. Hey, big kids, you can dress up too. But Military Appreciation Night on Saturday, Shelley, and then Pirates and Princesses on Sunday. So not only are you going to get a heck of a hockey game between Florida and Greenville, but come out on Saturday, pay respect to those who have served this great nation. And then, of course, on Sunday, bring out the fam, dress them up as Pirates and Princesses. What a fun little weekend for the Rabs.
Yeah, and even on Friday, you can bring out the fam because we run family 4-pack Fridays here at the Well. So you got to love that. It's dinner and a show, right? You get to watch the Swamp Rabbits play hockey. You get your drinks, you get your tickets, you get your hot dogs, you get your chips. So that starts it off tomorrow night when the Everblades come to town. And then, Military Appreciation Night. Hey, big thing. I don't know if you saw, Rob, but a couple of T-shirts in the stands dressed up as the American flag. Donation when you buy the Michelob Ultra Superior Fan Section, $10 donation to Folds of Honor. So we're really excited about that, and for the veterans to be in the building. I've been talking with some of the players who have military connections, and they're very appreciative of all this, and this is a special night for them as well. So they can't wait to play on Military Appreciation Night and honor all these current and veterans in the building. And then obviously on Sunday, like you said, Pirates and Princess Day, a day game to bring out the family too. But here's the kicker on that one. After the game, you can rent skates and you can go down on the ice and skate with the Swamp Rabbits after the game.
I have to tell you, my head, Mark Shelley, is very excited about that. My ACLs, on the other hand, are terrified.
Oh, believe me, I have a bum knee, a bum shoulder, one fall, and I'm not even making it up to the broadcast booth next game.
We may be both doing our jobs from on the ice. I'm going to say on the ice, I mean quite literally on the ice. Mark Shelley, is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. They are in action tomorrow evening, 7:05, Saturday evening, 7:05, and then a 3 o'clock matinee on Sunday. You can get your tickets at swamprabbits.com, or call the box office and ask for Sully or Scooty or any of the boys up there. They'll get you taken care of. Shelly, buddy, great to talk to you as always. I will see you tomorrow evening at the well, my guy.
Always a pleasure, Rob. We'll see you there, and make sure to keep that mic unmuted, my friend.
I make no promises, buddy. That's why they don't call me a professional. Mark Shelley, voice of the Swamp Rabbits here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. We'll come back. A couple of segments to wrap up hour number 2. Fight Club in hour number 3. All that and more around the corner on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. Oh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can make it through the night. I don't know where that came from. No, I don't know. I don't know where that song just came from. Like, we went to break.
In the bathroom?
No, I haven't even been in the bathroom yet. Like, literally, I've been in here the whole time with one exception, which I'm going to get to the bathroom now. But no, I have not heard Dreamweaver in months, and just Dreamweaver popped in my head.
Of course, what he meant to say is he hadn't been to the bathroom this hour. By the way, while he's out of the room, I probably wasn't going to go because that's a pretty late night. It really is. So I wouldn't be getting, well, I don't know. I get back home after 11. It's not bad. Never been to Colonial Life, so I don't know how hard it is to get in and out of there. I know how much fun it is to get out of a football game, and I'm sure they probably have pretty good parking around it.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
The 2005 Texas Longhorns began the season ranked number 2 and stayed there all season. Their defense allowed only 16 points per game, while their Vince Young-led offense averaged 50. The Longhorns went on to face USC in the BCS National Championship game against top-ranked USC, winning 41-38 in what many consider one of the greatest college football games ever played.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Teams that win college bowls have great recruiting.
He is drinking a lot of liquid, so, Steven, that's part of it. And when you yell like Rob does, you're burning a lot of calories. Yeah.
ESPN Upstate. No matter where the ball bounces, we've got your hookup on your radio at 97.7 FM in Greenville and 97.1 FM in Spartanburg on your computer at ESPN.
What?
Had to add a promo.
Sorry, Chris called me. He was telling me when my internet went out for like half an hour this morning. I was panicked.
You mean like it was last night when it?
I mean like off, like not connected to a network.
Did you Did you kick the wire?
No.
Because that used to happen to me a lot.
He said there's a TOC switch.
Yeah.
That sends the network to me and 47 other people across the corporate network, and it was off. The switch was just off. I'm like, how? He goes, nobody knows. It just went off. Ooh. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm going to see Reba McEntire tonight, Lonzo. Pretty stoked about that. Dude, that is an icon. That is a living legend that you are disrespecting. She is listening to the show right now, Lonzo. Reba is here in the upstate. She's in Greenville setting up for a show. She's on the bus listening to us, and you have the audacity to shake your head and roll your eyes?
She has a song where a daughter is forced into prostitution.
Not forced into.
Yeah. Here's your last chance, fancy.
One chance, fancy. Here's your one chance, fancy. Don't let me down.
Right. So yeah, I'm supposed to be a fan of that. Nope.
Forgive me for what I do.
Not. Yeah. Okay.
If you want out, it's up to you. So don't let me down.
Yeah.
Your mama's gonna move you uptown.
Yeah.
Hey man. So some people get dealt a bad hand, Lonzo. Some people get dealt a really bad hand. And Fancy was one of them.
I will not be. I shall never be a country fan. It's just not happening.
It's Reba McEntire, man.
It's
I saw Reba McEntire.
painful.
I saw Reba McEntire at Six Flags over Georgia when I was like 7 years old, right? She did like a little mini concert. Six Flags, I don't know if it's still there. They used to have like this field out behind the theme park and a stage, and they just do random shows. And I saw Reba there when I was like 7, and I fell in love. She was my first redhead I ever loved. First redhead I ever loved was Reba. Started me down a very dangerous path for the rest of my life, did Reba McEntire.
I did like her in, what was the movie with the big sandworm things?
Tremors.
Tremors. I liked her in Tremors. Yeah.
She was she was a badass in that movie too, wasn't she? Love Reba McEntire.
I can't remember if she survived or not, though.
I believe she did. She was toting shotguns that whole. She wasn't afraid of nothing.
She probably brought her own guns. Nothing wrong with that.
Did.
Nothing wrong with that, but she probably brought her own. Yeah.
Go redhead girl from the country. Look out. It's danger. Danger, Will Robinson.
If you are a fan of country, good for you. I'm just not going to be. Am I dissing it? Yeah, a little bit, but that's just because I don't like it, you know. And my distaste for that just made Rob make the same kind of look that I made. Like, how dare you?
It's frankly offensive, Lonzo. It's frankly offensive.
I don't
Miss McEntire.
I don't like country because it's easy, man. Anyone can do country. Anyone can do country.
Dare you, sir?
It's so easy. I can write a country song in 5 minutes, and it could probably be a hit because it's just so easy.
The audacity.
It's not audacity. It's confidence, and it's knowledge of what I speak.
The audacity of you, sir. Unacceptable. Miss McEntire comes here on her own volition to give us.
Yeah, I'm sure she's getting. I'm sure she is, and I bet she puts on a wonderful concert if you like that kind of music.
American music, down to its core, country is the country rhythm and R&B.
Don't you try to turn this on me and try to act like I'm a communist because I don't like country, but it is torturous and it's the kind of thing you play when you want someone to come out of the house when they're holed up like they're a dictator or something. You just play it really loud. And eventually
that country music is an effective weapon for getting terrorists out of their holes, ladies and gentlemen. You of the upstate.
Your average terrorist has probably been conditioned, so it doesn't bother them. Dictators, they're kind of not as conditioned.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will be at the Reba McEntire show today and you see a tall, good-looking guy in a black cowboy hat, you feel free to come up.
I was going to ask if you were wearing a hat.
Hell yeah, I am. It's a country music show.
Okay, all right.
Of course I am. Bringing out the roots. I got my black cowboy boots ready to go. They're down in the car right now. I almost wore it in today. But I didn't need to hear 3 hours of Diesel making fun of me if I showed up.
Do you have bootcut jeans?
I'm wearing them right now.
Okay.
Absolutely do.
Good for you.
Wearing them right now. Damn right I do. How else you wear your boots if you ain't got bootcut jeans?
I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
A couple of bootcut Wranglers.
How's your belt buckle game?
Solid, bro. Solid. I got one right now. It's about yay big.
Is it like the state of Florida or something?
I got three I can pick from tonight. I got three. I got one. It's about yay big with the American flag and a bald eagle flying over the top of it.
All right, like it.
Second one is two horse heads looking inside, and the centerpiece is a big opal from the Mojave Desert.
Wow.
And the third one is a circle with a longhorn steer skull with the horns on it.
I think you should go for that. That's more fitting.
Go for the longhorn?
Yeah, that's more fitting of a Reba
Reba's a Georgia
concept.
girl, though. She's not a Texas country. She's Georgia country. So I think I got to go American flag.
So it would be frowned upon if you wore Texas country to a.
No, it's just
Okay.
if you're trying to pay homage to the great Reba McEntire, you don't roll Texas stuff out there. I don't think she's from Texas. I could be wrong.
So you said she was a Georgia girl, so you don't know. You're just throwing this knowledge at me because
No,
it's country.
Her
and
style of country is not Texas country.
there's a Georgia style of country.
There's all kinds of different styles of country. For instance, there's the stuff that's coming out today. You know what genre of country that is? Bad. It's bad country.
It's a copy of rock and roll, old time rock and roll. Yeah.
She was born in McAlester, Oklahoma, 1955.
See, Josh is on the stream.
Oh, you know what?
He got you right there.
You know what? I do have to go Longhorn. Her grandfather, John Wesley McIntyre, was a world champion steer roper back in 1930.
There you go. So she was in the crowd. You see that bump and she'll actually come up.
Not really. I'm in against the wall in the top. we up in the nosebleeds. That's all right. We going. The McIntyre children help with ranch chores before and after school, including castrating bulls and giving them word medicine.
Wow.
Hey, Reba's done more hard work in her life than you and me combined, so.
I don't think you can say that for sure because I've lived a lot longer than you.
She grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
You don't get it easy in a farm.
So you're acting like I've never been on a farm before.
Did you grow up on a farm?
I didn't grow up on a farm, but I've been on a farm. I've mucked the stable before with a pitchfork.
Steven says now the country western shirt Rob has all makes sense. You're exactly right. Exactly right. I might go. You want to go grab the cowboy hat for the last hour? It's down in the car. Go get it.
The vest is in the office. It's got tassels.
I love that the Facebook stream has been quiet all day, and as soon as you disrespected Reba, it just lit up with people like, nope. We got words for Lonzo. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2. Hour number 3, Fight Club with Lonzo coming up at 2:20. Stick around for that. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Chance for rain late, mostly cloudy, high around 50. On Saturday, sunshine high 37. Sunday, sunny high 47. Meteorologist Jennifer Beach.
At the risk of quoting a song, Bring It Up My Roots.
Showed up in
bed.
Your black tie affair. Last one to know. Last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there. Your turn, Lonzo.
I remember when I wrote a country song as a dare and played it for everybody, and they asked me to stop because it was too good. Because it's so easy. My family's from Kentucky. The twang comes so easy because that is my family. Country is it's just simple, man. I want more complicated music.
There's beauty in simplicity, Lonzo. There's art in simplicity.
I mean, I'm not so complex that I need to go with Diesel's double bass pedal. Although I like the double bass pedal on occasion. There you go, Eagles. That's probably as close to country as I can get. And they're Southern rock.
I was say that's not country.
But a lot of their songs crossed over into country.
Absolutely.
By the way, Steven, I'm not saying she's not a legend. I'm just saying I don't like country.
Because she is.
That's all I'm saying is I don't like country. I mean, Rob took offense to the fact that I don't like country. It's not my fault. I mean,
not that you don't like country, but that you have a terrible reason for life.
Oh no. But the funnest one is that it's easy, because it is. But how can Rob like country when he doesn't know what a holler is?
I didn't know what a holler is.
No, he has a horrible definition of a holler. And give her your definition, and she's going to ask you to be escorted from the building.
I come from the country where there's mountains, Lonzo. I came from the country where it's just flat and trees.
That's not country.
That is country.
It's beachfront property.
No, they literally call it the Redneck Riviera.
By the way,
you jerk.
You come from the country.
Oh man!
You keep setting me up for all this, and then when I finally meet your mom, she's going to absolutely hate me.
You said that when I was like, "Oh, he's about to drop the hammer," and he did.
That's a big old fat softball right down the middle.
Yeah. That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. Do 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 do. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. I don't trust your soul to no backwoods southern lord.
See, here's a mistake I made. So now I'm going to be tortured for the rest of the show as Rob sings country lyrics when he doesn't know lyrics to hardly anything else except for Limp Bizkit and country songs.
Because the judge in the town's got blood stains on his hands.
And I know that song because it crossed over into pop. But it wasn't her that sang it originally. I believe it was Vicki Lawrence from the Carol Burnett Show. What, you don't believe me? Look it up.
I didn't say I don't believe you.
I'm a wealth of useless knowledge, and if I'm not right, I'm still going to sound like I'm right. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because I'm going to ask you who the heck that guy is. Yeah, that's 220. It's
Number one on the sheet. I like it.
Look at the top.
Hey, you're right. I like it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Big Ben Roethlisberger has called it a career, 18 years in the league. What's that guy's legacy going to be? What's the legacy of Ben Roethlisberger, right? Roethlisberger had his issues off the field. Sexual assault charges brought him in a number of years ago. And he is one of the cats that it's very polarizing to talk about Ben Roethlisberger. It's very polarizing to talk about Big Ben. And I saw that on the discussions going on in social media earlier today, because as a matter of fact, about a week ago, right after Big Ben got eliminated from the playoffs, I saw a website that was pre-selling books. And I think the name of the book was Made of Steel. Or the steel made something made of steel.
It wasn't the Steel dossier, was it?
No,
I think that's already been used.
It's a very different thing. I think it was Made of Steel, like the big Ben Roethlisberger story or something. And I went through the comments because it racked up like 2,500 comments in a matter of minutes. And anytime something shoots off like that, I'm like, all right, wow, there is something to talk about here. So I opened it, and it was very polarizing because it was like half the people were like, I'm buying this right now. It's going to be in my library forever. I love me some Big Ben Roethlisberger. And then there's another half of the people that were like, dude, the guy's he's a this, he's a that, throwing out allegations about him. I can't believe people are celebrating this guy. What is going to be the ultimate legacy of Ben Roethlisberger in 10, 15, 20 years' time when he inevitably gets into the Hall of Fame? Because he will. He's a first ballot guy. When he inevitably gets into the Hall of Fame, what's going to be the memories of Big Ben? Are people going to remember the legal issues off the field, or are people going to simply talk about what he did on the field, including a pair of Super Bowl rings?
He is going to go into the Hall of Fame because it's not the Baseball Hall of Fame. And in the NFL Hall of Fame, they pretty much only care about what you do on the field.
That's true.
Because there are probably worse people in the NFL Hall of Fame than there are in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
You're not wrong.
So he is going to go in, and I mean, it's all, I don't want to say that it's glossed over. It's just that it will be mentioned by a lot of people talking about his legacy, and then they'll just move move on, and then talk about what he's done on the field.
Big Ben was accused in a civil suit in Washoe County, Nevada, back in 2009 by a young woman who accused him of sexually assaulting her in the hotel room. He denied the claim. That was never brought to criminal charges because there was a lack of evidence in that case. The suit was ended when the parties agreed to a settlement. Details of the settlement were not made public. And then on March 5th, 2010, it was revealed that police were investigating Roethlisberger for an assault inside the women's room of a Capital City nightclub. A 20-year-old student at the time said that Roethlisberger had basically trapped her in a bathroom. That case, years down the line. In 2010, district attorney held a press conference to announce Roethlisberger would not be charged, saying that there was not evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The accuser wrote a letter stressing later that she did not want to go through with a trial because it would be too intrusive of her personal life, but that she was not recanting her accusation. So he was never found guilty of anything. It was multiple accusations from two different people. He was suspended for the 2010 season. He was suspended for the first 6 games due to a violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy, regardless of what happened in a court of law. And reaction from teammates was mixed. Hines Ward said that the suspension was, quote, justified, end quote. When it was all said and done, that suspension was ultimately reduced down to 4 games because he went through some counseling, et cetera, et cetera. What's the legacy of Ben Roethlisberger, right? He's been mocked by South Park. His name gets mocked every time a late night comedy skit show needs somebody to bash in the NFL. Just curious. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll open up with a little NFL talk. Let's take a quick preview, a one day too early preview of our AFC and NFC championship games. Then Lonzo's got Fight Club coming up for you at 2:20. And then we wrap it up with Twitter trending topics on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
In the win, the Hornets are 27-22 with the victory. Back at it this Friday night at home against the Lakers. NHL tonight, the Hurricanes visit the Senators. Carolina has points in 8 of 10. They're 2 points out of first place in the Metropolitan Division, chasing the Penguins and the Rangers. College hoops last night, the Tar Heels beat Boston College 58-47. Longwood 79-71 winners over North Carolina A&T. In overtime, Winthrop passed South Carolina Upstate 95-91. Up 25, Davidson fell 70-68 against VCU. The Citadel beat Western Carolina 68-66. South Carolina 70-61 over Vanderbilt. ESPN Upstate is your home for play-by-play of Furman Paladins basketball all season long. That's the Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders on ESPN Upstate.
Have you heard Offsides with Mark Ryan? Woohoo!
Thinking of adding something to the Fight Club intro.
Okay. And that is Tyson Fury calling people wet lettuce. You absolute pack of wet lettuce.
No, although that would be awesome. I'm thinking of adding acknowledge me, but I just don't know where.
Acknowledgement? Oh, acknowledge.
Acknowledge me. And which version? Brock Lesnar's version of it? or
Ooh, you got to go Romans, right?
You
I
have
thought
to.
Roman dropped it was a moment.
yeah. I don't know. Just thinking about it. Look at that. Normally that wouldn't work, but it did.
The third, the final, the best hour, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. I'm Rob Lonzo, directly across the glass, literally and metaphorically, from me running the show for you today. We are live in the Ingles Market Studios. You can text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. You can also call us 844-GSP. ESPN 844-477-3776 is the number. So we've got our conference championships coming up this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, with a pair of tickets to the Super Bowl on the line. And of course, you can hear both of those games exclusively right here on ESPN Upstate. If you're out and about this weekend driving around, you can't be in front of a TV. Well, we got you. Tune into ESPN Upstate, and you'll hear play-by-play from both of those games right here on the show. Divisional round of the playoffs was arguably the best weekend of playoff football we have ever seen. 3 games coming down to a walk-off kick. As good as you can ask. As good as you can ask. The last one coming down to overtime. So let's get into those games a little bit. We'll give you our official picks and predictions tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, but we will start with the AFC Championship. Lonzo's Chiefs taking on the Cincinnati Burros as Joey B and the gang come to Arrowhead. Joey B earlier in the week said the SEC has louder stadiums than anywhere in the National Football League, going into the loudest stadium in America, at least on one occasion, in Arrowhead. And I'm interested to see what the fans are like in this one. Chiefs open, Lonzo, as a 6.5-point favorite. Remember, you get 3 at the house, so they're saying the Chiefs are a field goal better than the Bengals. ESPN's FPI says the Chiefs have about a 69.5% chance of winning this game. So it's a heavy, not a heavy favorite, but a decided favorite there. The Bengals clinched the AFC North in Week 17 with the victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. 34-31, torched the Chiefs defense. Joey B, 446 yards and 4 touchdown passes, and appeared the Bengals had kind of exposed the Chiefs' flaw. Now, I would say that they kind of expose it, and that is the Chiefs are susceptible to giving up big plays through the air, right? We saw the Bills do the same thing last week. Josh Allen was up and down. The Bills have a better defense than Cincinnati does, or at least statistically they did coming into that game. But the Bills, even as good as Josh Allen and the gang are not what the Bengals are through the air. Lonzo, I think this game, I don't know how you can say it could be a tougher game, a better game, a more entertaining game than Buffalo v. Kansas City was. But what I did see out of that shows me that I'm leaning Chiefs, but the Bengals can absolutely win this football game. They beat the Chiefs 3 weeks ago.
Oh, without a doubt. And if you look at how the playoffs went last week, chances are there are not going to be any blowouts. They're going to be fairly close games, both these games. And it's going to come down to maybe crowd noise. There's a rumor that maybe Kansas City is handing out megaphones. I don't know. I just made that up.
Okay.
I just made that up. They should, though, even if it's those little plastic ones, because that would help project a little bit more. But it's going to be loud. We know it's going to be loud thanks to Burrow saying what he said. And Kansas City's got a little revenge on their mind because they knocked them out of the number 1 seed. And you can look at it and say, well, they lost them in the regular season. They're going to lose to them here. But Buffalo also beat Kansas City in the regular season. So, and playoff Kansas City, as we've seen, is different than regular season Kansas City because they step it up a notch and can, do things in 13 seconds that other teams cannot.
Yep.
So I can't hide where I'm leaning. You knew where I'm. To me, whoever wins this game, I'm rooting for them to win the Super Bowl. Because I do like Cincinnati also.
Cincinnati and Joey B. In the playoffs, only the playoffs, right? Wild card round, divisional round. Joe Burrow overall is 52 of 71 for a 73.2% completion percentage. The guy's on a tear. He was great against Tennessee. There is one weakness that the Cincinnati Bengals have, and it's a good pass rush. We'll get to Joe Burrow. Sacked 9 times by the Tennessee Titans, but even being sacked 9 times was still good enough to complete over 70% of his passes, put the ball in the end zone in some clutch spots, and win that game. The first player in league history to complete at least 70% of his passes in each of his first 2 career playoff games with a minimum of 10 attempts in each. He does go down to a good pass rush. My question here, Zoe, is Kansas City's pass rush good enough to get to Joey B 6 to 9 times?
So I have just seen that Tyrann Mathieu is at practice.
He is at practice.
So,
I saw that as well.
So that is a positive, and Kansas City loves to blitz. So it's not just about, their front getting back there, which they do a pretty good job, but they love to blitz. Having Mathieu back will help a bunch. But as you pointed out, even being sacked that many times, he's the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. He's still in the playoffs and in the championship game. So maybe you don't blitz as much. Maybe you play back more and try to take away the big play and make them come underneath and beat them that way.
Here's the thing. The Chiefs haven't done that yet, right? Josh Allen was able to connect on some big plays. Joey B connected for a bunch of big plays when the Bengals beat the Chiefs back in week 17. Again, 426 through the air for Joey B in that one. 446 through the air. And Jamar Chase, as the old meme goes, bleep it, Jamar down there somewhere, wing it. And yeah, I get Tyrann Mathieu's back, but the dude can't do it by himself. And even if he locks down if he locks down Jamar Chase, Joey B's got other guys that he's trusted to do well. And who has locked Jamar Chase down this year? Nobody. Not a DB he's been up against has been able to effectively remove or even slow down Jamar Chase.
That last game, he tore Kansas City up. And this was on Twitter trending topics yesterday, but I didn't get to it. Les Miles told Jamar Chase coming out of high school that he couldn't play receiver.
Yeah, sometimes you get it wrong.
When you eat grass, maybe it affects how
I guess.
Yeah, possibly.
A little too much pesticide on the grass down there in Baton Rouge when the old hat was in charge. The flip side, obviously, is that it seems like no matter what the quarterback lined up against Patrick Mahomes does, you can trust Mahomes to match him or do better, but at least match him, right? If Josh Allen plays the game he played last week against anybody else in the playoffs, they win that game. They beat LA like that. They beat San Francisco like that. They beat Tennessee like that. They beat everybody like that.
You would say the true key for Cincinnati winning the game would be a running game and be able to take as much time off the clock as you possibly can, have the ball last, and run the clock out as you score.
I honestly,
if that's
don't
possible.
know. I honestly don't know, to tell you the truth. I am. I mean, yeah, like you need Joe Mixon to run the ball well, right? And by the way, he did last week. Mixon ran the ball well against Tennessee last week, but he also caught a couple out of the backfield that were drive changers, right? You line him up as a solo back, you run the draw, have him just take a little wheel route out to the empty space where Jamar has cleared out DBs to that side of the field, and you pop Joe Mixon and he picks 7 up consistently. I agree. I mean, I think either one of these teams needs to be able to run the ball well if they want to win the game, but I think we can say that about every game. I honestly think the key here is which one of these two quarterbacks gets in a rhythm with his wide receiver early, right? Because if either one of these teams takes an early lead and forces the other team to play catch up, you take their run game out of the equation.
And see, that's what bothered me about Kansas City last week. The running game was working early, and they just went away from it. They just stopped.
Well, I think they got to the point where they knew they were in a shootout. They knew they were in a shootout. And listen, when you've got Mahomes, when you've got Allen, and I guess when you've got Joe Burrow, I'd say Tom Brady was in this group too. There are just some quarterbacks that when you go, this is going to be a shootout today, you trust your quarterback to shoot, right? I trust Patrick Mahomes to shoot. I trust Joe Burrow to shoot. I think any team that wants to win a Super Bowl has got to have a good run game. But you got to know if you get into a shootout, man, does it feel good to have a quarterback that's got a bunch of bullets in the gun ready for you. And I think both of these guys do. I've given you an X factor for every playoff game so far, and I've been pretty good with them. I'll give you one more. This is going to shock you, Lonzo. The X factor in this game is the entire Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. If they are as bad as they were against Tennessee, Cincinnati loses this game. Tennessee could not shoot out. Even with Derrick Henry back there, Tennessee could not shoot out with the Bengals. Even with 9 sacks, they could not shoot out with the Bengals. Kansas City can. If Cincinnati allows the Chiefs to get back there and blow Burrow's offense up a number of times, Kansas City can shoot it out. This has to be a game that the Bengals offensive line is significantly better. If the Bengals offensive line gives up another 6 sacks, Kansas City wins this game.
See, there's something else to factor in here, and that's nerves. Because Cincinnati hasn't been in this position forever. There's a lot of young guys on that team. Are they better off because they don't know what they don't know, or are they going to get in there and is the game going to be too big for them? We know it won't for Kansas City because they've been there year after year. Will the nerves get to Cincinnati? And if it does and it gets to them early, then some points are going to be put up really quick by Kansas City.
Yeah. If you're Cincinnati, again, if you're going to get a shootout in Kansas City, I want Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase out on the edge. This is the one team left that if you go, it's going to be a shootout game, I go, that means they can win. Not they will, but they can win. But Cincinnati's offensive line has to be better. If it is not, Kansas City will run away with this. But if their offensive line can keep Kansas City's defensive line away from Joe Burrow, if they can keep Joe Burrow clean, 1 or 2 sacks tops, Joey B can win a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. Not saying he will, but he can. I don't know if there's a quarterback left that can. There's not a quarterback that comes into this game and they go, if we get into a shootout with the Chiefs, we're going to be okay. But either of the two teams over on the other side better be able to run the ball.
There's only a couple quarterbacks like that in the entire league.
I agree. Mahomes is one. Allen is one. I would absolutely say Joey B is one. Who else? Brady's probably one. Rodgers is probably one.
I think that's about it.
Maybe Russ Wilson. Maybe
a couple years ago.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, you're home for Combat Sports. It's time for Fight Club. Lonzo will walk us around the world of boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. After that, we'll do our NFC game breakdown and then Twitter to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Oh.
Points out of first place in the Metropolitan Division, chasing the Penguins and the Rangers. College hoops last night, the Tar Heels beat Boston College 58-47. Longwood 79-71 winners over North Carolina A&T. In overtime, Winthrop passed South Carolina Upstate 95-91. Up 25, Davidson fell 70-68 against VCU. The Citadel beat Western Carolina 68-66. South Carolina 70-61 over Vanderbilt. ESPN Upstate is your home for play-by-play of Furman Paladins basketball all season long. That's the Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. On your computer, smart speaker, and phone on the Odyssey app.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, it's Charlie James. It's time to call QC Kinetics.
Oh, it's snowing in Arrowhead. Where's that Cincinnati? No, they're in Cincinnati.
Lasting results using
Ooh. Ooh.
This is really exciting stuff.
Didn't even need the backboard on that.
Patients are raving about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them keep giving you steroids, and don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. To keep your family or business warm this winter, and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
Your HVAC problem is our priority. Priority Heating and Air.
Hey, it's David Spade and Dana Carvey here. Join us for our new podcast, Fly on the Wall. Every week, we're going to catch up with an alum from the world of SNL. Our old buddies like Chris Rock, Tina Fey, Tom Hanks, Martin Short. Whoa, Kevin.
We are well today, Josh. Hope you are also.
What's up, big dog?
We're so good. Rob's just kicked back, taking it easy.
Wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-511-3535. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. If you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution.
Sometimes you risk things by liking things, but I gotta like this. I'm not gonna talk about it, but
What is it?
it's something Frisbee just
Oh.
tweeted.
Yeah.
You have to read it. It's a crack on Clemson. That's why I'm liking it, because it's hilarious. If you are watching My Nemesis, that was a good one.
Special savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help you with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128, U.S. only.
I just don't think he's gonna.
Nah, man, he's prepping for a beatdown. Yeah. Welcome to the Fight Club. If you're I'm gonna stop. I'm more of a of AEW, and they do this more and more. And I mean, good for them and bad for them, because if you're doing this on your regular shows, why should people buy a pay-per-view? Because you can only step things up so much. And Rob saw the first match between Cody and Sammy Guevara. That is pay-per-view like right there. That's something you should have to pay to see that. Don't you agree?
Ish.
It takes away from the significance of a ladder match if you get it for free.
Disagree.
Especially the moves that were made in this ladder match. I get you're trying to build the company, but you're going to plateau and you're going to not bottom out, but you're going to even out eventually if you put this fantastic stuff
Tell you what,
in a place where people can see it for free.
if you give me the option of, you can watch the same two guys wrestle 6 times in 6 weeks and then watch them wrestle again on a pay-per-view.
All right, so this is the same problem we have when talking Clemson or Carolina. You can't talk about one without talking about the other. We're not talking about WWE. We're just talking about AEW.
I never mentioned WWE.
Yeah, but everybody knows
I
what
never
you're talking.
said WWE.
Everybody knows what you're talking about.
You immediately went to WWE. I never mentioned.
Everybody
You
knows.
did.
Everybody knows.
Here's what I'm saying. You got a little taste, right? You got a little taste.
Yeah, but it's more than a taste.
I disagree.
Thank you 2.0.
I disagree. You got a little bit of a taste. That little bit of a taste makes you go, man, if they do this here, what else do they do, right? And I think you're right. They are trying to grow a company. They are still a fraction of the overall market share. They are still a fraction of the wrestling audience out there. The other thing that I think you've got to keep in mind is there is obviously, as we learned from John Moxley last week, AEW is a much edgier show than anything WWE is putting on right now, right? And I think
They did have to apologize for that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things that it's like, all right, yeah, you apologize, but it still happened. And for some of it, to me, that was the most genuine wrestling moment of this year, because that wasn't wrestler Mox. That was guy who just came out of alcohol rehab telling a dude who was chanting "you alky" at him where he could shove it. And I liked it. That was the most genuine wrestling moment. Even if you weren't a fan of the language, it was a great moment in the ring. It's an edgier show. And so they're going to go a little bit bigger and crazier on their regular shows to get you to go, if that's where they're willing to go on a regular show, where will the pay-per-views go? And so far, I haven't had a complaint. There has not been an AEW pay-per-view that I have finished and went, I feel like I wasted my time.
The explosion.
I know you hated it. I know you hated it.
When Sammy jumps from ladder to ladder, the thing that I sent you, and hits the cutter or RKO or whatever you want to call it from the top of the ladder, that was an amazing thing. But there were also botches. My question to you is, should big bumps negate botches? Because, and this is not just about AEW, WWE does this. I've seen it more and more, and I don't know, maybe I have more of an eye looking for it now, but it seems lately that botches are happening more and more, and the guys don't cover it the way they used to. 5 years ago, they would cover a botch a lot better than what they seem to be able to do now.
I think there's, and I've said this in the past, botches are going to happen, but I think there's kind of a spot where the wrestling fan has changed now and looks and goes, yeah, botches happen. And you know what would happen? Like I watched 2 bar fights last Saturday, like actual bar fights. And when these dudes were fighting, one dude, as he was approaching the other dude, went to throw an arm and just kind of slipped and missed, right? It happens in a fight. Guys are going to miss shots. They're going to miss throws. It's whatever.
Well, in that case, there was probably some alcohol involved too, which will make your, I'm just,
sure.
It's in a bar. Don't look at me that way. Chances are those guys drank a little bit and got what they call liquid courage,
Sure.
and that will cause you to not be as accurate.
Sure. But booze or not, botches are going to happen. And I think it's one of the, at least for me anyway, I get to a point where I go, you know what, if there's a botch in a match, but it's a really good match, I don't care all that much. Especially because it's like, I saw one a couple weeks ago. I cannot remember. I want to say it was a match on SmackDown where one guy was clearly supposed to shoulder charge the other coming off the ropes, but then they both shoulder charged at the same time. And so they just slammed into each other and they both went to the ground. And it was clearly not the spot that was called, but you know what they both did? They both acted like they just got destroyed. And you went, okay, you played that off as accidents happen because it's a fight and you don't know what the other guy's about to do, but don't just immediately pop up and be like, oh, crap, let's automatically do that spot again. Roll on to the next one and just have the fight.
Yeah, because things have been choreographed to a point where they don't know how to get to the next point because they missed that one.
Yeah. So how do we transition to the next move? Just get up and do it.
All right, couple more things for AEW. MJF sits Indian style on CM Punk. What did you think about that?
Hilarious. Thought it was great. I thought it was a despicable move. It was insulting. It was disrespectful, and it was freaking MJF. It was absolutely perfect.
I don't like it because what it means more than likely, if you look at the trends of how wrestling goes, that means CM Punk's going to win the match. It should never happen, and that bothers me. I love.
Should never win a match.
They should not be able to beat MJF. They're supposedly going to wrestle next week. MJF, much better wrestler, much better on the mic. CM Punk is old and should not win, but because they got the event, win. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
No. I don't understand this thought of there's no way a guy who has been doing it for this many years.
But he hasn't, though. He took 6 years off.
And you think he just was?
Oh, he went and got his face beat in the MMA and got a paycheck. Yeah.
Right.
Other than that,
shouldn't win because Lonzo doesn't like that he was a bad MMA fighter.
No, that's not it. That is not it. It comes down to that he's overrated and he's come back and he's getting this push, and really all he's doing is going out and
being CM Punk
and looking.
Which is what we like about
He's going out and looking old. I would rather, there are people who CM Punk was their hero. Wouldn't you rather that hero stay that way instead of coming back and slowly going downhill, which I believe he is. And I think you have CM Punk colored glasses and you just can't see it.
I think you have anti-Punk colored glasses and can't see it.
I do, but they help me to see with much better vision than yours. All right, finally, and Adam Cole. Missing.
Saw that.
I don't know why that is. Maybe COVID came into play or something. We don't know, but he wasn't there, and I thought that was a little weird. But it was a great match. Orange Cassidy is one of those guys who's actually being pushed. They have a ton of talent that they can't get on TV because they have too much, but he is out there every week. But at the end of the match, and I don't know if you saw the end of the match, it looked like Adam Cole was dead. And
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought every bit of it was great. I thought Cassidy being ready for the cup check was great. I thought the chain being worked in multiple times by both guys was great. I thought the run-ins by the factions were great, but not detrimental to the match, right? The fact that they negated each other and let those two guys still have the spotlight.
And because get away with it, and they shouldn't.
I thought it was great. I thought that the finishing spot was entertaining. I thought it was as Cassidy and Adam Cole baby as you could ask for out of those two guys. And frankly, listen, Adam Cole's gotten over on Cassidy, 3 times in a row now in 3 different matches. So to give Cassidy his payoff there, I don't know if it ends the feud or not. I don't know if I'm suspecting we're going to see a bit of a faction feud coming up, which I think Adam Cole and the Elite go over ultimately. But I thought it was as good of a match as those two could have possibly put on. I was shocked it was the main event as opposed to that ladder match. And I thought, man, after what that ladder match brought, Guevara and Rhodes were so good. How are these guys going to keep up with that? And they figured out a way to.
They did. They absolutely did. And yeah, it's hard when you start off with a match that's on fire like that to be able to continue it throughout the evening. We're going to get to Royal Rumble because we're going to pick the matches. Before we do that, I was, while I was over on my other job, I saw Stephen A. Smith was on TV with one of your favorites, Logan Paul. So I turned it up because I wanted to hear what they were talking about. Logan Paul, he wants to fight Canelo in 3 years because he says in 3 years he will be a better boxer and be ready to do it. And he says that he is not a better boxer now, that Canelo is a much better boxer, that he's bigger, he's better, talking about Logan Paul talking about himself, and he called himself a unicorn. So my question is Logan Paul a unicorn, Rob?
He's what a unicorn's horn would do to you if it poked you.
He has brought attention to your sport of boxing, whether you like him or not. People are paying attention. Oh, he absolutely has.
Or to YouTube views.
Logan Paul, that's bringing attention.
Yeah, he should not be. He shouldn't be. This is this is the spot I'd
See,
like to go.
the mother.
Smith, and I'd like to say, instead of having Logan Paul on to issue a stupid 3 years away YouTube challenge to Canelo Alvarez, you know who you could have on to talk about boxing? Canelo Alvarez! Why don't you put the boxer on? Why are we not talking about Tyson Fury, Dylan White? Why are we not talking about Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk? Why are we not talking about boxing? And instead we're having this guy
All right,
who's a jackass on to talk about his version of it.
How many followers do those other guys have?
Is that how we determine what's good and what's bad on TV?
I think right now that determines an awful lot of what gets on TV. How many followers you have?
Yeah, it turns out when you only put the guys on TV that have followers, they're the only ones that have followers, right? Like how Stephen A. Smith has a voice. How much better off would it be if he let Canelo Alvarez come on and be entertaining and then say, follow him on Twitter at Canelo Alvarez? Then he'd have more followers. This has been my problem forever. This is this is why social media is a downfall. Because if you look and you go, we're going to have this guy on, he's got 5 million followers. Then that other guy with 4 million followers or 1 million followers never gets a chance to get more followers.
By the way, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Lonzo and Word.
I mean, I stand in Lonzo's greatness. I don't even want to bring up my Twitter handle. It's not worth it. I don't have as many followers.
All right, let's go to the Royal. Or that you would like all their pay-per-views to be on Saturday night.
Yes. What's crazy that they're not.
It interferes with something I do on Saturday, but I agree with you because it doesn't interfere with other stuff. And now that Peacock has made it to where I can rewind back some, I'm good. All right, let's get to the matches really quick while we have a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and start with the big one, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Who you got?
Oh, that's a great question.
We can come back to it if you want to think about it. But
I mean, I've gone back and forth about this. I think I'm gonna go Lesnar, right? Like, I think I gotta go Lesnar. It's Vince's dude, and I know that you get angry when I do this, but I like Lashley beating Lesnar would be a moment, right? Like that would be a moment, and I think, but both of these guys are on meteoric rises, and I almost think we get round 2 at WrestleMania, and that's where the flip happens.
All right, so I am going. Here's my opinion is they didn't get the match they wanted with Lesnar against Roman Reigns. If he loses his belt, he can move on over to SmackDown and go after that belt again like was originally planned. And then you can bring somebody else back against Lashley. Yes, you know who I want it to be, but it probably won't be. I think Big E's run is over.
I think they're over him.
I think it might be somebody else who I believe is going to win the Royal Rumble, and we'll get to that in just a moment. All right, Universal Championship between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has beaten Roman Reigns every single time.
Is that so?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And they've been pointing out that Roman can't beat Seth Rollins.
I am going to say Reigns wins, right? Like, I think there's 2 ways this plays out. But obviously the Usos barred from ringside now, right? So now Roman has to do it for the first time completely by himself. And I suspect one of 2 things happens. KO's going to come out, and he's either going to distract Roman and Rollins is going to win, or KO's going to come out and he's going to cause Rollins to lose, and you're going to get a KO Seth Rollins feud while Roman goes on to flirt with Brock or whoever else. I'm leaning Reigns retaining. I have to think that the 2 dudes that are known to be Vince's guys, which are Brock and Roman, I got to think they carry the straps into WrestleMania, right? Like, I got to think both of those guys carry straps because you're still set up to where you've got Lashley with another chance and whoever wins the Royal Rumble going against Roman, and there's 2 supercard matches right there.
All right, so I'm going to go with Roman also, but there is another pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania that they could change belts at, and it's in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know. I mean,
depends on how much money the princes have paid to see someone win the belt.
You're not wrong.
All right, Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. Yeah, we've seen this match before, except it was with John Cena and Bella. But we've never seen Edge and Beth Phoenix wrestle together in a ring. I'm kind of excited to see that. But I think it's pretty easy who should win this match. And I've just changed my mind. I think The Miz is going to win.
I had already put it down. I think Miz and Maurice shock everybody. I think they cheat. I think they find a screwy way, a gimmicky way to win. But I don't think we're done with this feud, right? Especially, can we talk about how much pop Beth Phoenix has been getting lately?
Especially this past Monday when she had the guns out.
Holy crap,
Yeah.
Beth Phoenix is ripped.
And I was thinking, yeah.
He is shredded. Yeah, she looks good.
And Maurice is not. So there's that. I mean, not that Maurice is fat or anything, but she's not. I mean, Beth Phoenix looks like Beth Phoenix, which is a big shocker.
Yeah, she was shredded. Miz and Maurice win. This fight's not done.
All right, Raw Women's Championship between Becky Lynch and Doudrop. This is a waste of time because they're not going to let Becky lose to Doudrop. If they did, it would be the biggest shocker of the entire pay-per-view and probably the biggest shocker in wrestling for a while if that were to happen.
Yeah, Becky wins.
Yeah, Becky's.
I feel like we need to spend time
Yeah,
on this.
Becky's going to win. All right, so Men's Royal Rumble. Before we win, here. Which leaves 8 more to surprise. The rumors out there are John, Cody Rhodes, and Chris Jericho. Any of those have any validity?
No, there's no AW guys in the Royal Rumble. It's not happening.
Do you think ROH guys show up?
Possibly. I mean, we already know one ROH wrestler, or no, Impact wrestler is in the Women's Rumble now. I think it's a possibility that you have 1 or 2 guys that kind of pull an AJ Styles and come out of nowhere, and I think the pop would be enormous if it happens. But none of them are going to win it.
All right, so if any of the 3 were to come, which one would you think would be most likely? Because I agree, probably none of them are. But of the 3, I think John Moxley is the most likely.
I think Mox is the most likely.
Because they've actually shown him on screen for a couple weeks in a row.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. Do you throw Mox in there without Reigns and Rollins in there? Right? Wouldn't it be something? Unless Reigns and Rollins are in it, right? Because we still have what we got 8 slots left to be filled between now and Saturday. You know, if let's say theoretically, Rollins, let's say Rollins is announced. Is Rollins in? Is he announced? No, he's not, right?
No, he's not because he's got a championship match.
Match. Let's say they do this. I'm fantasy booking because I'm having fun. Rollins says, I'm entering the match just in case, insurance purposes. Then he beats Reigns, but he's already in, so he's got to go out there. And Reigns is lost, so he goes, screw it. I'm jumping in last minute so I can get my crack at Reigns back. And then Mox comes out after both of them would be incredible. But it's not going to happen. Stop building up people's hopes, Lonzo, you emotional Hoover.
That's what I do. That's what I do. All right, so let's pick who we think is going to win. I'm going to go first. I think Austin Theory wins it. He's been getting this push for a reason. I don't know why. The vignettes with McMahon are funny and also sad at the same time because McMahon he's getting old, people, because that's what happens. It's life. You get old. But I'm gonna pick Austin Theory because it could be anybody. This is not a year where you go, yeah, this guy's getting a push. He's getting it. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll tell you who I can I give you a dark horse?
Sure.
Kevin Owens. Give me dark horse a KO. If one way or the next, Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens wins the Rumble. If Seth Rollins does not beat Roman Reigns, then I think it's Austin Theory as well.
All right, women's Royal.
I hate, by the way. I don't get it.
Yeah, I liked Austin Theory in NXT with the way. I thought that was a good move.
Decided to ruin NXT and every character coming out of it. But let's keep going.
Be that as it may, and you're accurate about that. Women's Royal Rumble coming up. 21 people have been announced. 21 women have been announced. Here are a couple people who could be coming back. One is Bayley, which is a big possibility. The other one,
face or heel Bayley.
It's still going to be heel.
If she's face Bayley in, I'm all in.
Yeah,
life.
I think she's going to be hello, Bailey. And the other one, which is getting a lot of pop on social media, Ronda Rousey.
Heard about that one today. But I haven't heard anything other than a bunch of fans saying it, right?
I saw Renee talking to somebody on her podcast, just, a clip of it.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it.
Well.
And with Renee talking about it, I think it adds a little, and she could be doing what we're doing, fantasy booking.
Fantasy booking. I think you're going to see more NXT people show up than you think.
Yeah,
will.
probably.
And obviously we've got, Mickey James is going to be there because why not? I think they said, and Kelly coming back. The Bella twins are coming back. So you're going to get a who's who, but we know whoever's going to win it is going to come off of one of the main brands. My I'd like to win it pick is Liv Morgan. I'd like Liv to win.
I think a lot of people would like her to win.
But I think you're getting Bianca, which I'd be fine with too.
By the way, I agree. I think Bianca wins it again, and that would be 2 years in a row.
And to answer the question you didn't ask,
who is the
guy that's been on ROH, and he's been in a couple of other smaller promotions, and he describes himself as very nice but very evil. He's basically a B-movie horror villain who doesn't have powers but believes that he does, which is what he was doing to Adam Cole. He was cursing him, but I'd like to point out he cursed Adam Cole.
And then he lost.
And then Cole lost. Denhausen is elite.
Well, I can't wait to see the intro to see if it matches his look.
Love this guy.
And how long will it be before he pairs up with Sting and Darby?
You will very much like this. One of his things is just randomly dancing mid-match to different 1970 songs to get in the head of his opponents. It's hysterical.
Oh, we're going to throw some Bee Gees
Love
and
this
stuff?
guy.
All right, I'm down.
Quick break. NFC Championship breakdown, Twitter breakdown next on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate. I just tuned into your show, Rob, and now I'm tuning out because wrestling is not a sport. It's barely entertainment. It would be fine to be covered by Nickelodeon because both wrestling and Nickelodeon appeal to kids grow up. I love being
You know.
a lot more well constructed than they usually are.
Yeah, whatever. I find it so funny that the macho, when we talking about wrestling, since we've been doing it forever, and since the beginning of this radio station, we've had wrestlers on, and the boss is a wrestling fan, and the other show. And the people who, I don't like wrestling. You make yourself look bad when you do that. You really do. If you don't like it, fine. It's not for you. But if you do it in a tone where you think you're putting someone down in a shameful way, like you're gonna, like what?
I started dating the lady friend. Like we were kind of going on early dates, like to get to know each other, right? I told her we had our like put your red flags out in the open kind of conversation because we're 36 and 37, put your red flags out in the open conversation. And she was like, okay, what red flags do you have that I need to know about? And I was like, I work in radio, so I don't make a lot of money, and I like professional wrestling, and I watch a lot of it. And she was like, well, I'm not really a wrestling fan, but I don't hate it, whatever. Every time that I've watched wrestling, when I started, in fact, the first year we were together, we watched WrestleMania, which was the one that they had no fans that they did at the Performance Center.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of WrestleMania, she was a Drew McIntyre stan, like cheering for him to beat Brock and all that. And then last year's WrestleMania, she comes to me and she's like, are we having people over for WrestleMania this year? Well, after we took her to Raw and she was yelling for matches at Raw a couple of days ago, she asked me when WrestleMania was. And I was like, first weekend in April. And she goes, are we inviting Roshan and Alonzo and everybody over for WrestleMania? And I was like, if you want to. She's like, yeah, let's just get a bunch of chips and dip and have a WrestleMania party. I was like, well, it's 2 nights. And she's like, okay, we'll do it. We'll invite them both nights. I was like, all right. And she is a responsible grown-up with a real job and everything.
Yeah, not like us.
Mm-mm.
But there are people out there who feel like it's their duty to inform you that, you know, and you could complain to management. That would be funny.
Call my boss and tell him you don't like asking about wrestling, and he'll probably ask you what you thought of last night's matches.
And when Raw was, you know, in town, he was in the front row. And I missed out on a chance to see Bobby Lashley crash through the barrier right next to him.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports.
Jeff Garcia just went on a tear on Mina Kimes. Quote, who the hell is Mina Kimes, and when is the last time she threw a touchdown pass in a game? Never, ever, exclamation point. Has she taken a snap or can truly understand the ability, the mindset, the physical and mental toughness that it takes to play the quarterback position or any position in the NFL? The fact that there are people out there given a platform to talk about something that they have never done is hilarious, and that's how you have to look at her. She's a joke, end quote. Can I just say that, Jeff, the you haven't done it, therefore you can't talk about it take is the weakest, oldest, garbagest take that a former player has, right? A former player, the only reason a former player says something like that is because they can't get and keep a job doing this, right? And so the only thing they have is, well, I played the game, therefore I should get a mic. No, Jeff, you're right. There are things about the NFL that you will know that I can't, right? I'll never know what it's like to sit in on a contract signing for an NFL team. I'll never know what it's like in an NFL locker. Well, that's not true. I've been in NFL locker rooms. I'll never know what it's like to be a player in an NFL locker room to say, here's what makes good chemistry and not. Those are things that you have an edge of me on. But if you're telling me I can't decide, I can't diagnose a coverage because I've never stood under center and looked at one, you're wrong. They're on TV. We can all watch them. We can all game scheme them. We can all watch film and figure it out, right? If you're telling me I can't diagnose a quarterback's fundamentals because I never played quarterback, Jeff, I've used this analogy 100 times and I'll use it again. You don't need to be a 5-star Michelin star winning chef to know when the steak is burnt. You feel me? I don't know how to make the perfect souffle to tell you when the souffle comes out that it tastes bad. You feel me? I don't need to be able to do the thing to tell you when the thing's not being done well. I've told this story before. I can't remember who it was, but there's a comedian who got told by a lady, he was doing jokes about kids, right? But he didn't have kids. And the lady said, you don't have kids, so you don't know what it's like. And he said, yeah, I'm also not a helicopter pilot, but if I see a helicopter stuck in a tree, I know that guy did it wrong, right? The whole you have to have done it to talk about it thing is tired. It's tired. Stop. Just quit. Texter says, ESPN, I just tuned into your show, Rob, and now I'm tuning out because wrestling is not a sport. It's barely entertainment. It would be fine to be covered by Nickelodeon because both wrestling and Nickelodeon appeal to kids. Grow up. Well, I'll tell you, Texter, and I appreciate the text. I understand it's not for everybody. Lonzo, how many pure wrestling segments do we do a week?
One
segment.
And it's not all just wrestling. Sometimes it's heavy on MMA. Sometimes heavy on boxing.
Yeah. We do 12 segments a day. We do 5 shows a week. We do 60 segments a week. 59 of them might involve a wrestling reference, but they're not about it. We do one time. And again, Lonzo and I sat at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena about 3 weeks ago for Monday Night Raw. It was sold out, people. There weren't empty chairs anywhere. And you know who else in this building was there?
Yeah, somebody in this building owned one of those seats or purchased one of those seats in the front row.
Yeah, our boss.
Yeah, so
Our boss.
you know,
You don't have to like a thing, and that's okay. Let people enjoy what they enjoy. But my goodness, we do a segment on a thing that a lot of people like.
Wrestling
tennis
is
segment.
fake. It's fake. I want.
If you don't like a segment, it's okay. Give us 5 minutes and come back because it's going to be something else. Twitter trending topics to wrap it up when we come back on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save. $0 copay supply. Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See Walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details.
Watching TaxSlayer calculate your refunds feels like climbing to the apex of a roller coaster and flying down the track. And maximum refunds. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearless.
Hey, Ray Mariotti here. Have you ever cooked a really fine gourmet meal? Yeah, me neither. But I'm told it all comes down to the ingredients. And when I need ingredients to improve my card, the place I go.
All right. So you said something about a souffle. I don't believe I've ever had a souffle before.
Those are good, man.
Sounds like fancy 1%er type food.
Well, grew up on the country club.
Absolutely. What is in a souffle? I figure it's probably different things.
Souffle's like
What makes a souffle? Is it because it's got some puffy thingy on?
poofs up. And
Okay.
It's got stuff inside.
Do Stouffer's make a souffle? Now when we go in the office, I gotta look it up because it wouldn't shock me if they do. I think you could fit that poofy stuff in a foil tray, but I could be wrong. I might have had souffle before. One of one of the times when we had a client thing with all the stations, and they had it at what used to be called a handlebar. I forget what it's called now. That's where we went bowling above it, that thing. And that's the first time I tasted brie.
Brie?
Yeah, probably the last time I'll eat brie. Chris is a big fan of brie, and he had to make sure that I had some. And then he just kind of, hung around the place where the brie was for the rest of the show, or for the rest of the thing.
I like cheese, but brie.
I put brie and souffles in kind of the same thing. That's, you smile when the waiter brings it and you're like spitting it back into your napkin. All right, time for Twitter trending topics. By the way, you're missing out if you're not on the ESPN Upstate Facebook page. We had a wonderful discussion about brie and souffle, and you didn't get to hear it. So you need to check that out every day because we're always live. All right, the first thing that's trending, and I don't know if you're going to.
Too. We talked a little bit about him. Neil Young has decided to pull his music off of Spotify.
He gave them an ultimatum.
Yeah, he said either pull Joe Rogan or pull me.
So they pulled him.
Yeah,
so he didn't pull him.
Well, he said pull Joe Rogan or pull me, and they said okay, well, which doesn't shock me at all because I suspect Rogan probably has more streams daily than Neil Young.
Got like over millions of followers or 8 million followers. Anyway, it comes down to what we were talking about earlier. Followers do kind of factor into some things.
Oh, 100%. If Neil Young had 3 times as many listeners as Joe Rogan does, then I suspect they'd have made a different decision.
Absolutely.
But it comes down. He says, "Hey, look, Joe Rogan's lying about the vaccine. It's up to you to decide if Joe Rogan's either misinformed or lying." But he said, "Pull him or pull me," and they said, "Okay, later." But again, Neil Young got a bump in listeners a couple of years ago because he had a song in that movie Quiet Place with Jim Halpert in it. And then, he's Neil Young. And don't get me wrong, I love Neil Young, but I also know I'm in a vast minority in that
Neil
case.
Young's like, what, 75 or something like that?
I heard Neil Young sing about her. I heard old Neil put her down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember. Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
He's getting ready for the Reba concert tonight.
You daggum right I am, boys. We'll see y'all there. If you're at the Reba McEntire concert, I'll be the tall, good-looking cowboy in the black hat. Come see me. That's it for us. Diesel and Mark Ryan up next with Offside. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.